The beautiful police officer, second sister, raided the room, but she didn't expect that kicking the door open would reveal you, Du Ziteng. You animal! How dare you drug Miss Yao? You deserve to die 1,000 times over. Before he could even finish his sentence, Yao Jing was clinging to you like a human pendant. The posture was as intimate and affectionate as it could get. Hiding behind her, the true young master, Mu Turan, smirked, but he pretended to be anxious. Second sister, don't blame Du Ziteng. He must have just had a moment of confusion. He then peeked out from behind your second sister, but seeing the scene before him, his pupils shook like an earthquake. This wasn't how the script was supposed to go. He had clearly given her a heavy enough dose. Shouldn't Yao Jing be screaming and calling the cops? Why did she look like she was enjoying it? Yao Jing instantly sobered up quite a bit. She might be crazy, but she wasn't stupid. It was obvious someone had set a trap to ruin you, and they dared to drag her into it? Not a chance. Yao Jing suddenly lifted her head from your embrace, her gaze as sharp as a knife. Officer Mu, is the police department's jurisdiction really this broad? You even lead a team to bust down the door when a couple gets a room. The entire room fell dead silent. Second, Sister Mu Yulu's gaze, which should have been filled with disgust, was now firmly fixed on your bare chest. Those solid abs, those smooth, sculpted lines. You were practically walking testosterone. Why was it that seeing you hold another woman made her heart feel so sour and bitter? She even felt an unbearable, burning heat. This sense of losing control instantly ignited Mu Yulu's anger. She pointed at you, her finger trembling uncontrollably. Du Ziteng, do you have no shame? Put your clothes on right now, if you think you can use this to get back at the Mu family. You're being childish and ridiculous. You let out a soft chuckle. Unhurriedly, you picked up your shirt. Officer Mu, please watch your tone. As you elegantly buttoned your shirt, you coldly stated, First, I left the house with nothing yesterday. I have absolutely no ties to the Mu family anymore. Second, this is a hotel. I could sue you for trespassing, police brutality, and defamation. You slowly and methodically fastened your last cufflink, then immediately pulled Yao Jing, who was enjoying the show, back into your arms. She played along perfectly, licking her red lips, and casting a provocative glance at Mu Yulu, whose face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Then your gaze shot out like a sharp sword, piercing right through the unsettled Mu Turan. As for the question you're most concerned about, Yao Jing is my girlfriend. Is it a crime for a couple to get a hotel room together? But you, young Master Mu, you can't even hide the disappointment on your face. I'm not. Mu Turan's eyes instantly turned red. The drama king took over as he immediately started playing the victim. Enough! Mu Yulu sharply rebuked. Girlfriend, Yao Jing, the arrogant eldest daughter of the Yao family, would fall for a penniless loser like you? Yao Jing, don't let him fool you. Mu Yulu warned through gritted teeth. He's just a parasite who would do anything for a quick buck. Yao Jing acted as if she had just heard the funniest joke in the world. She laughed so hard in your arms that she was trembling. She cast a disdainful glance at Mu Yulu. Officer Mu, did solving cases rot your brain? The next second, Yao Jing reached up and hooked a finger under your chin. I have money and looks. What could I possibly want from him? His handsome face, of course, and his amazing skills in bed. As soon as the words left her mouth, Yao Jing leaned in close to your ear, oozing charm, and whispered intimately at a volume everyone could hear. Darling, I was so satisfied last night. My legs are still like jelly even now. Boom. Those words dropped like a massive bombshell, blowing Mu Yulu's rationality to smithereens. Amazing skills? Legs like jelly? Vivid images instantly flashed through her mind. An intense wave of bitterness and rage shot straight to her head. It was jealousy. Uncontrollable, burning jealousy. You, the guy who used to just follow her around, the little shadow who foolishly called her second sister. Why? Mu Yula screamed internally. Why are you giving that kind of tenderness to another woman? Instantly, the pleasant notification sounds in your head went crazy. Ding. Shock. Emotion value plus 500. Ding. Jealousy emotion value plus 1000. Hearing the notifications, the smirk on your lips grew even wider. Jealousy? Perfect. At this moment, the paparazzi in the room completely forgot to press their shutters. Some female reporters were even blushing furiously just watching you get dressed, their breathing heavy. This man was just too alluring. He was literally walking testosterone. You, however, calmly turned sideways, completely shielding Yao Jing behind you. In a stance of absolute possession, you decided to add more fuel to the fire. Don't move, you whispered, looking down. Your long, slender fingers gently hooked Yao Jing's slipped shoulder strap. Your fingertips lightly brushed against her warm skin. Yao Jing's entire body trembled violently. Just a moment ago, she was bold enough to draw circles on your abs. But now, in front of everyone, she actually felt a shiver run down her spine. How did this damn man suddenly get so good at flirting? And his scent. It smelled so good it made her want to drown in it. She felt like she was melting, turning into a puddle of mush. All she could do was hang weakly onto you. Look at you. Your hair's all messy. You slowly and methodically smoothed out her hair. Your movements as gentle as petting a lazy cat. The scene was incredibly beautiful, yet also incredibly blinding, especially for Mu Yulu standing at the door. It was like a red-hot knife, stabbing viciously into her heart. That gentle look in his eyes. Once upon a time, it belonged only to her. But now, all he had left for her was cold mockery. Why? He was the one who made a mistake. She suddenly had the absurd urge to rush forward and kick Yao Jing away. Her rationality was crumbling inch by inch. Du Ziteng, Take your hands off her. Don't force me to use coercive measures on you. Mu Yulu finally lost control and roared. She glared death at your hand, resting on Yao Jing's shoulder, her chest heaving violently. Ding. Jealousy plus 800. Ding. Rage plus 500. Ding. Possessiveness plus 1,200. The smile on your lips deepened. She's already losing it. Instead of letting go, you pulled her even closer, your hand gripping Yao Jing's slender waist tightly, pressing your bodies together without a gap. Officer Mu, your body cam is on, right? You spoke lazily. Make sure you get a clear shot. I don't want anyone spreading rumors about me again. Right then, Mu Turin clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked. The script wasn't supposed to be like this. No. He absolutely couldn't let you turn this around. He took a deep breath and forced a look of absolute heartbreak onto his face. Second sister, don't let him fool you. Miss Yao is definitely the victim here. Look how red her face is. She's clearly delirious. Du Ziteng must have drugged her. This is a crime. Second sister, hurry up and arrest Du Ziteng. This move was incredibly vicious. As long as they could pin the drugging on you, you'd be a convicted criminal for sure. Sure enough, your second sister Mu Yulu's gaze instantly sharpened. Miss Yao. She took a step forward, bypassing you, her tone dead serious. I am the captain of the Criminal Investigation Detachment of the Jiangxing Police Department. Mu Yulu. Are you currently experiencing dizziness, weakness, or any discomfort from being coerced? He stared intently at Yao Jing. Just nod your head, and I'll cuff him right now. Everyone's eyes instantly locked onto Yao Jing. This was the last chance to turn the tables. If Yao Jing showed even the slightest hesitation, she could arrest you immediately. However, Yao Jing just leaned lazily in your arms. She lifted her eyelids, first glancing at the self-righteous Mu Yulu, then at the eagerly expectant Mu Turin. Then, she burst out laughing. Her laugh was filled with naked mockery. Yao Jing extended a single finger and gently poked your chest. She whined playfully, Darling, does your sister not understand human speech? Or do all cops just love breaking up young couples? As soon as she finished speaking, her expression suddenly turned ice cold. The lazy, seductive charm vanished without a trace, replaced by the arrogance and sharpness of the Yao family's eldest daughter. She completely ignored Mu Yulu, her gaze stabbing into Mu Turin like a dagger. And you? Where did this wild dog come from, barking all over the place? Mu Turin's expression froze. Miss Yao, I was trying to save you. Save me? More like disgust me. Yao Jing cut him off mercilessly. Do you think I, Yao Jing, am blind? Or do you actually think that face of yours is worth looking at? She pointed her slender finger right at Mu Turin's nose, unleashing her venom. Going full throttle, she sneered. Why don't you take a look in the mirror? With your rat-faced, malnourished, two-faced look, you're not even fit to carry my shoes. I think you've been acting like a pathetic loser for too long. Do you really think every woman in the world is just waiting for you to swoop in? Now look at my Du Ziteng. As Yao Jing spoke, she deliberately ran her fingers slowly down the lines of your abs in front of everyone, the gesture dripping with provocation. Sword-like eyebrows, starry eyes, broad shoulders, narrow waist. He's an absolute masterpiece of a man. You think I'd pass up a masterpiece like this just to listen to a toad like you croak? Mu Turin was so furious his face turned the color of pig liver. His proud, gentle, and refined persona had just been trashed as rat-faced and pathetic. You what? Yao Jing didn't give him a chance to argue back. She scoffed coldly. I was the one who asked Du Ziteng out last night. I brought the alcohol. I booked the room. What? Do I need to report to the Mu family when my boyfriend and I want to have some fun? Do you not understand English? The entire room was dead silent. This move was absolutely brutal. Not only did she completely clear your name, but she also rubbed Mu Turin's face hard into the dirt. Just then, you caught Yao Jing's wandering hand, brought it to your lips, and kissed it, your eyes filled with absolute adoration. All right, don't get mad at irrelevant people. If you ruin your health, my heart will ache. The words irrelevant people stabbed into Mu Yulu's heart like a sharp blade once again. It hurt so much she could barely breathe. No, she refused to accept this. Mu Yulu bit down hard on the tip of her tongue. The sharp pain instantly snapped her back to reality. She was a cop. She was here to make an arrest. If the drugging charge wouldn't stick, then she'd find another one. As long as she could take you away from that woman, any method would do. There was definitely something fishy going on here. Right. Turin had mentioned that you might be involved with those things. This was definitely drug-related. Good. Very good. Thinking of this, Mu Yulu forced down the bitterness in her heart and pulled an evidence bag out of her pocket. Staring at you with icy eyes, she said, Since Miss Yao is willing, I have no right to interfere in your private lives. Her voice had returned to its usual coldness, though it carried a barely noticeable tremor. However, we received a report of drug use and the use of illegal substances here, especially you, Du Ziteng. According to protocol, you must come with me to the hospital immediately for a full screening. Mu Yulu took another step closer, her eyes locked dead onto yours, trying to catch even a hint of panic. If you're innocent, the test results will naturally prove it. But if you use dirty substances for some ulterior motive, I absolutely will not go easy on you just because you used to be my brother. I absolutely will not go easy on you just because you used to be my brother. As long as she could take you away. As long as she could take you away from Yao Jing. As long as she could prove you used drugs. Then you would still be the little brother who needed her discipline. The one firmly under her control. At the same time, hope reignited in Mu Turin's eyes. The drug he used had a complex formula. A test would catch it for sure. When that happens, your reputation will still be ruined. The next second, downstairs at the hotel, blinding police lights flashed. The area was surrounded by curious guests, pointing and gossiping about you. Mu Yulu yanked the car door open, her face dark as thunder. Get in. She was desperately trying to suppress her anger. However, you didn't even bother to bat an eye. With one hand in your pocket, you walked right past the police car. Ignored. Completely and utterly ignored. Du Zitang, stop right there. Mu Yulu barked sharply, her knuckles turning white from gripping the door so hard. Are you resisting arrest? Resisting arrest? You pause your steps and slowly turn sideways. Officer Mu, I am a citizen cooperating with an investigation, not an arrested criminal. Which law states that cooperating with an investigation requires riding in a paddy wagon? Before you even finished speaking, the sudden deafening roar of an engine exploded in the air. Vroom! A fiery red Ferrari drifted aggressively, stopping perfectly right in front of you. The scissor doors slowly rose, revealing Yao Jing in the driver's seat. Her peach blossom eyes swept provocatively over Mu Yulu, before finally landing on you. My passenger seat might be a little tight, but it's roomy enough for us to unlock plenty of positions. Without a moment's hesitation, you stepped in with your long legs and sat right in the passenger seat. Bam! The door closed, shutting out Mu Yulu's murderous glare. Vroom! The Ferrari roared again, leaving everyone in the dust as if mocking them all. Mu Yulu stood frozen in place, feeling both furious and empty inside. Second sister, Mu Turin stepped up, a flash of jealousy and hatred in his eyes, yet still fanning the flames. He's really gone too far. If word gets out that he's being kept by a sugar mommy, where will the Muff family put our faces? Mu Yulu snapped her head around, her eyes bloodshot. It scared Mu Turin so much he took a half step back. Get in the car. Follow them. Her voice sounded like it was squeezed through her teeth. The thought of a man and a woman alone in that cramped car drove her so crazy with jealousy she felt like she was losing her mind. Ding. Collected Mu Yulu's rage emotion value plus 600. Collected Mu Yulu's jealousy. Emotion value plus 1000. Meanwhile, inside the enclosed space of the Ferrari, the atmosphere gradually grew intimate. The eldest Miss Yao, who had just been fiercely defending her man, had completely lost her aura. She only dared to steal glances at you from the corner of her eye. You, on the other hand, leaned back in your seat with your eyes closed, resting. Your posture was incredibly relaxed. How could this man be so calm? And that cool, crisp scent of cedar on him, mixed with his natural pheromones, kept drifting into her nose, making her heart race. Just then, you suddenly spoke, your voice deep, though you didn't open your eyes. Have you stared enough? Wu's staring at you. Yao Jing instantly bristled like a cat, desperately trying to save face. I was looking at the rearview mirror. Du Zitang, I've seen countless men. What kind of handsome guy haven't I seen? Countless men? You slowly opened your eyes, your deep gaze fixed on her, with a teasing half-smile. Then who was it in bed earlier whose hands kept pulling away? And who was panting in my ear, like a newly weaned kitten? Shut up! Yao Jing's cheeks instantly flushed beet red. Why did this bastard have to bring up the most embarrassing things? That was just a reaction to the drug. She gritted her teeth, immediately trying to regain the upper hand. But you put on quite a show back there. Who's your girlfriend? Who gave you the nerve to take advantage of me? She jerked the steering wheel, making the car swerve, putting on the airs of a sugar mommy. Although I don't mind helping you out, since you're pretty easy on the eyes. But you better remember this. Yao Jing kept rambling on, trying to build a defensive wall with her words. However, the next second, the light turned red. The car came to a smooth stop. You suddenly unbuckled your seatbelt. Click. Yao Jing's voice abruptly cut off. What are you doing? You didn't say a word. Instead, you suddenly leaned over, your handsome face instantly closing in on hers. Too close. Yao Jing could even see every single one of your eyelashes. That intoxicating cedar scent instantly enveloped her, overwhelmingly aggressive. Yao Jing's brain completely short-circuited. What was he going to do? Kiss me? Right here? There's a police car right behind us. Isn't this a little too thrilling? Looking at your thin, sexy lips, Yao Jing felt her limbs go weak, her heart pounding wildly against her chest. She instinctively closed her eyes, her eyelashes fluttering, looking completely at your mercy. However, the expected warmth never landed. Click. The crisp sound of a metal buckle snapping into place rang out. Your hand reached across her and pulled her seatbelt over, buckling it for her. You need to wear your seatbelt when driving. Classmate Yao. Your voice carried a teasing, mischievous laugh. Did you not even notice your seatbelt was loose? Yao Jing's eyes snapped open. She saw that you had already sat back in your seat, looking at her with an amused expression. She had been played. A wave of immense embarrassment washed over her. She was actually looking forward to it just now. She even closed her eyes. Du Zitang, you bastard! Yao Jing yelled, flustered and exasperated. How am I a bastard? You shrugged, looking completely innocent. I kindly help you buckle your seatbelt. And I get yelled at? You did that on purpose. On purpose for what? Before she could finish, you leaned in again, this time faster and more aggressive. You planted one hand on the back of her seat, trapping her completely in your embrace. An overwhelming sense of pressure instantly washed over her. You stared into her eyes, your gaze burning hot. You deliberately stopped just short of kissing her. Yao Jing, admit it. You think you helped me out? Aren't you just craving my body? It wasn't a question, but a statement, delivered with absolute confidence and control. Yao Jing opened her mouth, wanting to retort, wanting to call you an arrogant jerk. But looking into those soul-stealing eyes of yours, all her tough words melted into a weak gasp. Boom. She felt something explode in her mind. Seeing the panic in her eyes, you flashed a wicked smile. If you want to sleep with me, fine, but get in line. Get in line. She was the heiress of the Yao family, the #1 campus belle of Jiangcheng. And you, a washed-up young master, dared to tell her to get in line? Anger instantly overpowered her embarrassment, but mixed in with that anger was an unprecedented desire to conquer. Fine. Du Ziteng, you want to play hard to get while living off a woman, huh? She made up her mind. No matter what it took, she was going to make you hers. She'd make you kneel at her feet and beg for mercy. Ding. Embarrassment, anger emotion value plus 500. Ding. Desire to conquer emotion value plus 1000. Listening to the sweet notification sounds in your head, you leaned back against the seat and closed your eyes to rest again. The fish had taken the bait. Soon after, the screeching of brakes shattered the peace at Renshin Hospital. The Ferrari parked aggressively right in front of the emergency building. The doors opened. Yao Jing stepped out first, her long, beautiful legs dazzlingly white in the sunlight. However, she walked around the front of the car and completely naturally opened the door for you. If the rich kids of Jiangcheng saw her acting this attentive, their jaws would probably drop to the floor. We're here, my young master. Yao Jing leaned in slightly, her peach blossom eyes carrying a provocation. Only the two of you understood. Do you need me to carry you out? No thanks. You stepped out calmly and smoothly wrapped your arm around her waist. She pressed her hand ambiguously against her lower back. Compared to holding me with your hands, I prefer it when you wrap your legs around me. Boom! Yao Jing's ears instantly turned beet red. This bastard, actually saying such shameless things in public, but the fire of conquest in her heart only burned brighter. Just then, a group of people walked out of the hospital lobby. The woman leading them wore a white lab coat, with gold-rimmed glasses resting on her nose. She exuded an aura of absolute coldness. It was actually your third sister, Mu Yuqian, a genius in Jiangcheng's medical field. But you knew very well, she was an absolute lunatic. She had severe germophobia and OCD. In her eyes, everyone was a walking source of pollution. At this moment, Mu Turan jumped out of the police car and jogged all the way over to Mu Yuqian, but he sensibly stopped a meter away. Third sister, you have to help Du Ziteng. He lowered his voice, but his eyes pointedly drifted toward you. He might have caught that kind of thing. Last night, he and Miss Yao. He trailed off, but it accurately stepped right on Mu Yuqian's landmine. Mu Yuqian frowned in disgust, her icy gaze landing on you. Du Ziteng. Her voice didn't have a trace of warmth. Since we've cut ties, you shouldn't appear in my sight again. The way you look right now makes me feel like the air here has gotten dirty. Mu Yulu also strode over at this time, her face gloomy. Yuqin, cut the crap and take him for a full toxicology test. Of course we will. But before entering the hospital, we have to follow protocol. Mu Yuqian raised her hand and snapped her fingers. Security, take him to the disinfection channel. Spray him down with disinfectant from head to toe for 5 minutes. If he doesn't cooperate, don't let him in. These words were extremely humiliating. She was treating you like the source of a plague, before you could even speak. Yao Jing exploded first. Mu Yuqin, are you sick in the head? He's a person, not your lab rat. What? Does everyone in your Mu family have some major mental illness? Mu Yuqian didn't even bat an eyelid. Her voice was completely flat. Miss Yao, as a doctor, I suggest you get checked too. Hanging around with this kind of person, I'm afraid you're not clean either. Yao Jing's chest heaved violently in anger. Just as she was about to charge forward and argue, your large warm hand gently pressed onto her shoulder. That strange, soothing power instantly calmed her down a lot. You looked at her and spoke softly. Let it go. Don't stoop to her level. Stepping out from behind Yao Jing, a careless smirk played on your lips. Looking at the third sister who avoided you like a venomous snake, your eyes were full of mockery. Think I'm dirty? All right. Since you're so afraid of dirt, then I'll show you what true pollution is. Does Dr. Mu think I'm dirty? You said this while taking long strides, walking straight toward Mu Yuqian on the steps. 1 step, 2 steps. Your pace wasn't fast, but every step seemed to trample right on her heartbeat. Stop right there. Mu Yuqian's pupils shrank slightly. Her body instinctively tensed up, her voice carrying a warning. Du Ziteng, don't force me to call security to throw you out. Keep a 3-meter distance. However, as if you hadn't heard her, not only did you not stop, you actually sped up. As you drew closer, a strange scent aggressively drilled into Mu Yuqian's nose. It was a cold, intense pine fragrance, mixed with an aura that made one's blood boil. Get away. He's getting closer. That's bacteria. Mu Yuqian's rationality was screaming frantically, but her body felt like it had been hit by an immobilizing spell, frozen in place, unable to move an inch. Because of the scent on your body, Mu Yuqian was horrified to discover that not only did she not feel disgusted, her throat was actually going dry, and her heart was racing. She even greedily wanted to inhale more. What's going on? Just as her mind was in chaos, you had already stepped right in front of her, breaking the 3-meter safe distance, crossing the 1-meter social distance, finally stopping less than 20 centimeters away from her. Mu Yuqian could even feel the body heat radiating off you. She could clearly see your bobbing Adam's apple. Mu Yuqian opened her mouth, but her voice actually came out soft. Mu Turin watched from the side, completely dumbfounded. What the hell? Why isn't third sister backing away? She's even blushing. Does this guy know some kind of dark magic? Right at that moment, you leaned in slightly. A powerful masculine aura instantly enveloped Mu Yuqian. Don't touch. She subconsciously resisted, but her body remained stiff as a board. You ignored her completely, your slender fingers lightly pinching her glasses, taking them off. Without their cover, those phoenix eyes were completely exposed. The panic, shock, and bewilderment in her eyes were fully visible. What about now? Am I dirty? You lean close to her ear, your warm breath brushing against her sensitive ear. Your heartbeat seems a little fast. Or could it be? You're excited? Excited? Impossible. You're talking nonsense. Mu Yuqian clenched her jaw, her rationality on the verge of collapse. It seems Dr. Mu doesn't think I'm dirty after all. You took a half step back, opening up the distance once again. As you pulled away, that intoxicating scent faded with you. Mu Yuqian's heart unexpectedly surged with a strong sense of loss, emptiness, restlessness. Then we can skip the disinfection, right? You casually slipped her glasses into her pocket. The movement was natural yet firm. After all, if I were really dirty, Dr. Mu would have thrown up ages ago, wouldn't she? As your words fell, you didn't look at her again. Turning around, you walked toward the hospital entrance. Let's go. Yao Jing, do you still need my help? Yao Jing was still looking completely dumbfounded. Holy shit, that germaphobe freak Mu Yuqian actually got face-camped and dominated by you. Completely stun-locked, Yao Jing snapped back to reality. Looking at the dazed Mu Yuqian, a flash of satisfaction crossed her eyes. But the next second, her gaze landed on the hand you used to touch Mu Yuqian. A surge of possessive jealousy rushed straight to her head. This hand actually touched another woman. She quickly stepped forward, grabbed your hand, pulled out a wet wipe, and wiped it fiercely. Her movements were exaggerated, deliberately putting on a show for Mu Yuqian. Don't just touch things randomly from now on. It's filthy. Yao Jing wiped while speaking in a mocking tone. Dr. Mu, didn't you just say there were bacteria? How come when my boyfriend got close you didn't even try to dodge? Your whole family is so damn hypocritical. After throwing that insult, as if declaring her sovereignty, she tightly hugged your freshly disinfected arm. She even deliberately glared at you. And you, if you dare get handsy with another woman again, I'll chop your paws right off. With that, like a victorious little peacock, she led you into the emergency building. Mu Yuqian stood in the wind, watching this scene. The inexplicable emotions welling up inside made it hard for her to calm down. What's wrong with me? I actually had a physical reaction to him. Meanwhile, in the blood drawing room under the pale lights, this was the genius Dr. Mu Yuqian's territory. Today, she had to draw blood from you, the ultimate pathogen. Her brother was still fanning the flames from the side. Third sister, draw a few extra vials. Let's thoroughly prove his guilt. You couldn't even be bothered to spare him a glance. You just leaned lazily against the chair and unbuttoned your cuff. As you rolled up your sleeve, your firm forearm was exposed to the air. The blue veins beneath your pale skin meandered like a painting, exuding a fatal temptation. Yuqian suddenly turned around, her hand gripping the blood-drawing needle freezing in place. She had seen countless arms, but this arm of yours actually gave her the urge to reach out and stroke it. Dr. Mu, your deep voice broke her trance. Weren't you going to draw blood? Get to it. She suddenly snapped back to reality, seemingly ashamed that she was actually staring blankly at you, a bacteria carrier. She took large strides forward with the needle. The cold cedar scent on your body, however, pervasively pierced right through her mask. Following that, her god's hand, which never made a mistake in microsurgery, was actually trembling slightly as it aimed at you. She stared fixedly at your blue veins, and an absurd thought popped into her head. Will piercing it ruin this perfection? What would his blood taste like? This thought made her heart panic. The needle hovered in midair above your skin, hesitating to go down. Just then, your large, warm hand suddenly lifted and grasped her gloved hand. Mu Yuqian's entire body stiffened, as if struck by an electric current. Even though she was a severe germaphobe, she was horrified to find that she was actually enjoying this feeling of being defiled by you. She even felt a little regretful. Why does there have to be a layer of gloves between us? Don't shake. You chuckled softly. With a hint of teasing, you gripped her hand tighter and slowly pressed the needle toward your own skin. Tilting your head slightly, your deep eyes stared straight into her panicked ones. Dr. Mu is a genius after all. How can you not even know how to insert a needle? The next second, your voice carried a seductive tone. Come, let me teach you. Heiress. The needle broke your skin, and crimson blood instantly welled up. That bright red blood slowly flowed into the collection tube, looking as magnificent as a ruby under the light. Mu Yuqian stared fixedly at that flowing red, and a wave of heat actually rose in her lower abdomen. She actually thought your blood smelled sweet. She wanted to get closer. Even closer. Her rationality was screaming, danger. But her body honestly went soft. She even subconsciously gripped your fingertips in return, enjoying this taboo pleasure through the gloves. Ahem. A loud, sour cough shattered the ambiguous atmosphere. Yao Jing walked over in her high heels, shoving Mu Turin aside. She unceremoniously flicked the back of Mu Yuqian's hand. Doctor, Moo, are you drawing blood or feeling up my boyfriend's hand? If your Parkinson's is acting up, hurry up and retire. Don't wave needles around everywhere. Like a basin of ice water poured over her head, Mu Yuqian retracted her hand as if electrocuted. Her face instantly flushed red all the way to the base of her neck. What was she doing just now? Actually getting addicted to your touch? Even craving your blood? She was absolutely losing her mind. Needles out? Mu Yuqian's voice was dry. She frantically finished up the rest of the procedure, not daring to look at you again. Done. You slowly pressed the cotton swab against your arm, restoring your noble and aloof demeanor. You wrapped an arm around Yao Jing's waist and turned to leave, too lazy to even give Mu Turan a single glance. Mu Yuqian stared blankly at your retreating back, tightly clutching the vial of blood that still held your warmth. As if possessed, she raised the blood to her eyes. Through the glass tube, she took a deep breath. Meanwhile, in the hospital corridor, you leaned lazily against a bench. Yao Jing suddenly let out a soft chuckle. Piffed. Some people went through all that trouble to find paparazzi, but it looks like the boomerang came right back and hit them. Mu Turen's face changed, and he jerked his head up. What do you mean? At this time, Yao Jing turned her phone screen toward him, and naturally leaned on your shoulder. Look, honey, the school forum is calling you Jiang University's new male god. Mu Turen hurriedly pulled out his phone and opened the forum. The next second, the bold, red-highlighted title stung his eyes. Mu family's true and false young masters in the same frame. It's practically a different species. The pinned photo was exactly the scene of you, shirtless, protecting Yao Jing. The comments section was completely one-sided, tagging the Jiangcheng police. Is this something I can look at for free? I suggest arresting him and sending him to my house. I'll interrogate him personally. Help! Are those abs even real? My useless tears are flowing from the corners of my mouth. Who's that kidney-deficient guy next to him? Isn't he embarrassed standing next to my male god? Mu Turen's face twitched wildly. He clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked. These blind idiots. The point is his private life, not his body. Enough. He finally broke down and roared. Turning his head, he looked at Mu Yulu with red eyes. Second sister, look at them. They're cyberbullying me. But the defense he expected didn't come. Mu Yulu was staring fixedly at the comment. Yao Jing is so lucky. Envious. Lucky. On what grounds? Before, you were just the Mu family's property. Now the whole world was coveting you. This anxiety of her private property being exposed to the public made her extremely irritable. Click. The laboratory doors opened. All eyes instantly focused. Mu Yuqian walked out in a daze, holding the report. Her gaze actually landed on you first. You remained indifferent, as if you didn't care at all. This calm, dismissive attitude made the heat in Mu Yuqian's heart rise once again. Third sister. What are the results? Mu Turen couldn't wait to rush up, blocking her line of sight. It has to be positive, right? I can't believe he's a junkie. Second sister. We should send him to rehab immediately. Mu Yuqian's brows furrowed fiercely. This shrill voice interrupted her subtle aftertaste. She stepped back in disgust to create some distance. Shut up. Two cold words made Mu Turen's expression instantly freeze. Mu Yuqian took a deep breath, held up the report, and spoke in an icy voice. Blood sample analysis complete. Toxicology test is completely negative. No traces of any illegal substances found. The entire corridor instantly fell dead silent. Mu Turen's eyes widened, shaking his head in sheer disbelief. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. That drug, he personally spiked it with a triple dose. How could it not show up? Third sister, is the machine broken? Test it again. Losing control of his emotions, he grabbed at the report. Smack. A crisp sound rang out. Mu Yuqian violently swatted his hand away. The next second, she actually pulled out a disinfectant wipe and frantically wiped the spot he had touched. Don't touch me. You're covered in bacteria. This scene shattered Mu Turen's ego more than a slap to the face. Why is it that you can touch him, but when I just touch the report, she thinks it's dirty? Mu Yuqian took off her mask with a sharp gaze, revealing her stunningly cold face. Are you questioning my professionalism or questioning the hospital's equipment? His physical indicators aren't just normal. They're practically perfect. His cellular activity is at its absolute peak. You're telling me someone this healthy is a junkie? Mu Turen's face turned deathly pale. Staggering, he stepped back and looked at Mu Yulu for help. But Mu Yulu was equally shocked. His health was poor. He was always getting sick. How could he suddenly? Could it be that for the past 18 years, they had never truly understood this brother of theirs? Just then, you, who had been silent all along, finally stood up. You walked up to Mu Yuqian. The cold cedar scent instantly surrounded her. Her sharp aura instantly crumbled, and her breathing hitched. You held out your hand, with an undeniable command. Give it to me. Mu Yuqian, as if under a spell, didn't put up any resistance, and obediently handed the report to your fingertips. The moment you touched, an electric, tingling sensation shot up her spine once again. You took the report, but didn't even spare it a glance. Then, under everyone's astonished gazes, your slender fingers applied a little force. That piece of evidence Mu Turen had dreamed of was casually crumpled into a ball of waste paper by you. The next second, with a light flick of your wrist, the paper ball traced a perfect parabola. Clatter. It landed precisely in the trash can in the corner. This series of actions carried a careless, arrogant swagger. My innocence never needed proving in the first place. Too lazy to even give a glance. To the Mu siblings, You turned and held out your hand to Yao Jing. A doting smile curled on your lips. Let's go, you said lightly. The air here is bad. Stay too long, and their stupidity might rub off on us. At this moment, the adoration in Yao Jing's eyes was practically overflowing. So handsome. This is the man I set my sights on. No explaining, no arguing. Just throwing the evidence away like trash. This silent contempt is the highest level of face slapping. Coming Jiang University's new male god. She hopped up cheerfully, naturally clinging to your arm, sticking to you like a pendant. You walked away together, your matching figures making others green with envy, leaving only the three Mu siblings, frozen in place. Mu Torin's face was ashen, his nails digging deep into his palms. Mu Yulu looked in the direction you left, her heart filled with mixed emotions. As for Mu Yuqin, her gaze was dead set on that trash can. That paper ball you had crumpled still held the lingering warmth of your fingertips. If I pick it back up. Crazy, sick thought grew wildly in her mind. The roar of the Ferrari's engine echoed on the road. Inside the car, Yao Jing's excitement surged. This lady helped you vent a lot of anger today. How do you plan to repay me? She deliberately dragged out her words, her tone carrying a blatant hint. If you don't have money, paying with your body works too. But your consciousness was currently immersed in your mind. Situation resolved. Settlement complete. Total emotional value harvested this time, 10,000 points. Ding! System shop officially unlocked. With a thought, a golden light screen unfolded in your mind. God tier skills, 100,000 points each. It even has the Lao Zhuan Lun technique. To get more, I have to grind more. Seeing that you were ignoring her, Yao Jing grew bolder. Taking advantage of the red light, her restless hand quietly reached toward your thigh. Her fingertips lightly traced over the fabric of your suit pants. Why aren't you talking? Cat got your tongue. Are you feeling shy now? Just as her hand was about to cause further mischief, a large, warm hand covered hers without any warning. Your movement wasn't heavy, but it carried an irresistible force. Yao Jing's entire body stiffened, and her breath hitched. Your fingers slid down her wrist, slowly intertwining with hers. Fingers interlocked, the scalding heat from your palm instantly burned straight to Yao Jing's heart. Your thumb gently caressed the back of her hand, stroke after stroke. Yao Jing felt half her body go numb. Her experienced veteran persona was as fragile as a piece of paper in front of you. Just as she was blushing furiously and losing her mind to lust, just as she was anticipating what would happen next, you suddenly let go of her hand. That intoxicating warmth was abruptly withdrawn, leaving a massive wave of emptiness in her heart. It's a green light. Your voice was flat and calm, as if the intimacy just now had never happened. Let's go to your place. Yao Jing instantly froze, her brain failing to process it. Go to my place for what? Could it be that? Is he really this direct? But she wasn't ready yet. After all, when she woke up yesterday morning, her clothes hadn't even been taken off. However, you just lightly glanced at her bright red ears and spat out 3 words. I am hungry. 20 minutes later, at a luxury riverside apartment, Yao Jing clumsily punched in the passcode, her voice a little weak. This was her first time bringing a man back to this secret base. You stepped into the entryway, and what met your eyes was a scene of extreme luxury. Yet, this place was as cold and empty as a showroom. On the expensive coffee table, there were even a few takeout boxes scattered around. This extreme luxury mixed with decadence outlined the barrenness of its owner's heart. Yao Jing frantically swept the takeout boxes away, trying to hide her embarrassment. Then she took a deep breath. To save face, she slammed down a black gold card. I know you left with nothing, and you're completely broke. She crossed her arms, putting on the arrogant posture of a sugar daddy. This card has no limit. From now on, I'll cover all your food, clothing, and expenses. As long as you're a good boy and listen to me, and serve this lady well. Her words got stuck in her throat before she could finish, because you didn't even look at the card. You walked straight into the kitchen, and pulled open the double doors. With a click, a blast of cold air from the fridge hit your face. The massive fridge was completely empty. Aside from a few bottles of mineral water, it was stuffed with all kinds of high-end face masks. You couldn't even find a single egg or a leaf of greens. You stayed silent for 2 seconds, closed the fridge door, and turned around. Your eyes held no gratitude, no greed, not even a ripple of emotion. There was only one kind of look. The look of pity for a child who couldn't take care of themselves. So this is the life of the great Miss Yao. Your voice wasn't loud, but it popped Yao Jing's aura like a needle. Besides money, what else do you have here? There isn't even a single edible thing. Are you planning to make me eat face masks? Yao Jing's face instantly flushed bright red. She thought you'd be surprised, moved, and groveling. But your current look made her feel like a beggar starving to death while guarding a mountain of gold. I can order takeout. I can hire a chef, she retorted, humiliated and angry. I have money. What can I buy with takeout? You scoffed and walked up to her. That oppressive aura enveloped her once again. She subconsciously took a half step back. Change your shoes. You suddenly issued an order. What? Yao Jing looked down at her 10-centimeter high heels. A foot fetish. No way. I'm not changing them. These shoes match my outfit perfectly. Change into flat shoes. High heels will give you blisters. You cut her off. Your tone left no room for argument. Leaning in slightly, your gaze locked onto her eyes. Come downstairs with me to the supermarket to buy grocery. Yao Jing's eyes widened. Her face was full of disbelief. Grocery shopping? Are you crazy? You want me to stroll through a wet market? I'm not going. but you didn't say a word. You just looked at her quietly. Your eyes seemed to hold a vortex, pulling at her willpower. A few seconds later, Yao Jing bit her lip. Damn it. Why did being ordered around by you like this actually feel kind of thrilling to her? Fine. I'll change. Why are you being so fierce? She muttered, kicking off her high heels. She instantly became a lot shorter and a lot more docile. You watched her change into flat shoes, a glimmer of satisfaction flashing in your eyes. The roles of hunter and prey were confirmed through little things just like this. Right now, you could hardly believe your eyes. The eldest daughter of the Yao family beside you, who a second ago was strutting with arrogant, defiant steps, was now staring blankly at the emerald green garlic sprouts, looking completely bewildered. Why do these chives look exactly like green onions? Has modern genetic modification technology really gotten this insane? Good lord. As soon as she finished speaking, an auntie picking vegetables nearby burst out laughing. You smiled and sighed helplessly. Then you stepped forward, casually took the fake chives from her hand, and put them back. Only then did you tell her without looking back, "Those are garlic sprouts." Unexpectedly, your warm, large hand slid down naturally, firmly wrapping around her cold little hand. You didn't look at her. Your gaze continued to wander over the shelves, but your mouth issued an unquestionable order. "Yao Jing, there are a lot of people here. Don't get lost, little kid." As soon as those words came out, Yao Jing's heart skipped a heavy beat. Little kid? She was the dignified eldest daughter of the Yao family, the female tyrant who walked sideways in Jiangcheng. And you actually called her a little kid? But as she felt the burning heat of your palm and looked at your sharp, chiseled profile, she somehow couldn't bring herself to pull her hand away. Instantly, amazed and jealous glances were cast from all around. Some people even whispered about how much you spoiled your girlfriend. Yao Jing just bit her lip, her fingers quietly tightening to interlock with yours. The feeling of being led by you through the aisles was actually more intoxicating than maxing out a card at Hermes. Back at the penthouse apartment, you took off your suit jacket, changed into a white shirt, and casually rolled up your sleeves, revealing your muscular forearms. You turned and went straight into the kitchen. Then came washing the vegetables, chopping the green onions, and boiling the water all in one breath. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water, comparable to a visually pleasing performance. At this moment, Yao Jing was leaning against the kitchen doorframe, holding a bottle of Romani Conti. She quietly gazed at you. She originally wanted to throw out a few sarcastic remarks, to get back at you for calling her a little kid, but the words reached her lips and were swallowed back down. The sight of your back as you focused on cooking, its contours softened by the curling steam, was like a precise bullet that instantly struck the softest, emptiest part of her heart. The word home was simply too distant for her. Whether in this spacious mansion, or in that cold villa of the Yao family, she had never had a hot meal cooked by a family member. Just then, the phone in her pocket suddenly vibrated. When the screen lit up with the words, "Old Man Yao," Yao Jing's hazy eyes instantly turned ice cold. She frowned and answered the phone, her voice as cold as ice. "Hello." On the other end of the line, her father's slightly fawning voice immediately came through. "Jing Jing, is that boy from earlier your new boyfriend?" Yao Jing sneered and cut him off, her tone full of mockery. "Chairman Yao, you really are a busy man to still have the free time to worry about my private life, as long as it doesn't affect the Yao Group's stock prices. Do I need to report to you about who I date?" Her father hurriedly tried to explain something, even offering to transfer money to her. "Worried about me?" Yao Jing scoffed, but her eyes quietly grew red. "You'd better worry more about your little mistresses." Before she even finished speaking, she decisively hung up the phone and viciously smashed it onto the sofa. The whole world instantly fell into dead silence. It turned out her fierce tone just now was only to let her father off the hook with peace of mind. She'd rather let him think his daughter was cold and independent, so he could live his new life without any attachment. But this hard shell she forced herself to hold up shattered the moment she hung up the phone. That sense of loneliness, of being abandoned by the whole world, surged over her like a tidal wave. In an instant, it drowned out the warmth you had given her at the supermarket. She hugged her knees, curling up in the corner of the massive sofa, looking exactly like a stray kitten drenched by heavy rain. The mask of the vicious, claw-bearing villainess from earlier was now shattered all over the floor. So what if she had money? Besides money, it seemed she really had nothing at all. But right at that moment, a rich, overbearing aroma invaded her nose. It was the charred fragrance of sizzling scallion oil, mixed with the mellowness of sesame oil. Immediately after, your voice rang out above her head. "Time to eat." Without her noticing, you had already walked up to her holding a bowl. You placed a smooth white porcelain bowl gently onto the coffee table. There were no exotic delicacies, nor any fancy plating. It was just the most ordinary bowl of plain noodles. A runny poached egg rested in the clear broth, garnished with bright green chopped scallions. The rising steam in this freezing mansion, it seemed completely out of place, yet it brought a soul-stirring warmth. Yao Jing stared up blankly. Your gaze swept over her reddened eyes, but you didn't point it out. You just silently pulled out a pair of chopsticks and stuffed them into her hand. Your tone was still that faint, commanding one, yet it carried no trace of coldness. "Eat it while it's hot. It'll get mushy if it gets cold." Yao Jing stiffly took the chopsticks, and as if possessed, lifted a chopstick full of noodles into her mouth. The noodles were smooth and chewy, the broth savory and delicious. With one taste, a warm current instantly surged through her limbs and bones, driving away all the chill. But as she chewed, Her vision unexpectedly blurred. A scalding teardrop smashed into the noodle bowl without warning. She didn't want to cry. She was the high and mighty eldest daughter of the Yao family, the wicked woman everyone in Jiangxing feared. How could she cry over a crappy bowl of noodles? However, her tears were like pearls from a broken string, impossible to stop. A belly full of grievances and loneliness, mixed with the illusion of being truly cared for, instantly washed away all her defenses. She wolfed down the noodles, while desperately trying to hold back her tears, but as a result, she ended up crying even harder. Suddenly, a warm, large hand gently cupped her chin. It was you, leaning in slightly, that devastatingly handsome face, magnified infinitely before her eyes. You didn't say anything. You just reached out a finger and softly wiped the tears from her face. The rough calluses on your fingertips brought a faint shiver. Yao Jing was forced to tilt her head up, looking at you with tear-filled eyes. Through a hazy mist of tears, your eyes were as deep as the sea, as if they could embrace all her current wretchedness. Your deep voice sounded, brushing across her heart like a feather. Why are you crying? Do the noodles taste bad? Yao Jing sniffled hard and retorted stubbornly with a heavy nasal tone. They taste awful. It's all green onion flavor. You let out a chuckle, your fingers naturally caressing her smooth cheek. Awful, huh? Yet you're eating so fast. Your warm breath brushed against her lips. In Yao Jing's mind, the string called reason snapped with a twang, breaking completely. All her feigned strength and pride crumbled to dust in this moment. She violently threw down her chopsticks, wrapped her arms tightly around your waist, and buried her head into your broad chest. Her face full of tears, snot, and grease were unhesitatingly rubbed all over your clean white shirt. Her muffled voice came from your embrace. Du Ziteng, you big idiot. The girl in your arms was still trembling, her hands gripping the fabric at your waist in a death grip, as if trying to vent all the grievances of her ATB completely into this embrace. Right after, with an unprecedented urgency and eagerness to please, she asked you with a heavy nasal tone, "Don't leave, okay?" As soon as those words were spoken, the proud shell of Jiangqing's wicked woman was completely stripped away. She looked up with red, swollen, tearful eyes, filled with dependence and pleading. I have money. I have lots and lots of money. I can even put your name on this house right now. She incoherently threw out all her bargaining chips. Just don't leave me. Her last sentence was as light as a sigh, yet it revealed a desperate all-or-nothing resolve. We can do anything. You just gazed at her with calm eyes, looking at this devastatingly beautiful face that was now written all over with clumsiness and humility. She was like a child offering up all her candy, just to exchange for a hug, so naive it made one's heart ache, and so foolish it made one want to laugh. But you didn't take the opportunity to devour this stunner, who had offered herself up completely. Even though she looked incredibly tempting right now, you just slowly reached out and gently cupped Yao Jing's cheeks. Your warm palms slowly caressed the teardrop at the corner of her eye that was about to fall, your movements gentle to the extreme. Yao Jing subconsciously nuzzled against your palm, like a little kitten desperately trying to please its master. However, the next second, your voice was equally soft, yet it carried a barely noticeable trace of distance. Yao Jing, look at me. Yao Jing subconsciously held her breath, forced to stop trembling under your gaze. You raised your index finger and pressed it against her soft lips, stopping her from spouting any more nonsense. Do you know what you're doing right now? Yao Jing froze instantly. The mist in her eyes hadn't faded yet, making her look a bit dazed. You leaned in slightly, your nose almost touching hers. That highly aggressive, cold cedar scent completely enveloped her once again. You let out a light chuckle, but the smile didn't reach your eyes at all. Your heart is beating fast right now. You feel like you can't leave me. You're even willing to give yourself to me completely. You think this is love, right? Don't be silly, miss. Your voice was deep and cruel, dissecting the bloody truth word by word. This is just because when you were at your most vulnerable and most lonely, someone happened to cook you a bowl of noodles. This is called the suspension bridge effect. It's also called emotional compensation. The only thing it isn't called is love. Yao Jing's pupils suddenly contracted, her entire body stiffening. But you didn't stop there. We've known each other for less than 24 hours. Do you know me? Do you know what I like and what I hate? Do you know if I'm an angel taking you to heaven or a devil dragging you down to hell? Your eyes were incredibly deep, as if they were going to completely suck her soul in. Just like that bowl of noodles. You thought that by eating it like your life depended on it, you could fill the emptiness in your heart. You thought that way, you could keep this fleeting warmth forever. Too bad, it's just a bowl of noodles. It doesn't have any special meaning. Yao Jing's mind went completely blank. You leaned in closer again, your warm breath brushing against her ear. And me? I'm a very greedy person. Your voice was husky, carrying a magic that captured hearts. I don't want you offering yourself up because of a momentary surge of emotion. Nor do I want you treating me like a plaything, out of some so-called gratitude, or because you're unbearably lonely. What I want is for you. Your eyes flashed with a heart-stopping ambition and possessiveness. To look at me with a clear mind, to know all my good and bad, and after seeing everything about me, still fall hopelessly in love with me. You stepped back slightly, putting some distance between the two of you. The scalding heat was suddenly withdrawn. Yao Jing only felt her embrace empty out, and a huge chunk of her heart emptied out with it. You looked down at her from above, the teardrop mole at the corner of your eye looking exceptionally alluring under the light. I want your soul to belong to me completely. As for the current you shook your head, your tone carrying a bit of regret, mixed with a bit of anticipation. You're not good enough yet. What? You actually rejected her? Not because she wasn't good, but because you felt what she was offering right now wasn't good enough? This bastard is seriously too arrogant. But just when she thought you were about to turn around and leave, you suddenly bent down. In Yao Jing's beautiful, wide, astonished eyes, that handsome face instantly magnified. There was no stormy, plundering, only a warm touch, landing gently on her lips, like a dragonfly skimming the water, touching and parting in an instant, as light as a feather brushing past, yet as heavy as a scalding brand. There was not a shred of lust, only pure comfort and a declaration of sovereignty. Yao Jing's whole body trembled, freezing right where she stood, a touch that lasted merely a second, yet it was more intoxicating than any strong liquor. You straightened up and looked at her, dazed expression, your finger gently tapping her perky nose. That's the down payment. After saying that, you didn't linger. You picked up your suit jacket, turned, and walked away. Your movements were dashing and crisp. Go to sleep early. See you at school tomorrow, miss. Your tall, straight back walked further and further away in Yao Jing's line of sight. With a click, the front door closed, and the world plunged back into dead silence. Yao Jing remained sitting quietly on the sofa. Her fingers trembled as she slowly touched her own lips. There, it felt as if the warmth and tingling from that instant still lingered. Down payment? Her cheeks flushed completely red in a flash, the color instantly spreading all the way to the base of her neck. Who wants your down payment? However, the next second, she looked at that empty bowl and muttered to herself, is this really not love? She slowly raised her hand and pressed it against the left side of her chest. The frequency of her heartbeat there was more violent and frantic than ever before. If this isn't love, then what is it? Is it really just because of a bowl of noodles? No, it's because of you. This man who saw right through her, ruthlessly pushed her away, yet gently stamped his seal on her. Yao Jing closed her eyes, her mind filled entirely with your clear, restrained, yet mesmerizingly seductive eyes. You pushed her away, yet planted a seed deep within her heart. This ultimate push and pull, this feeling of being seen through completely, yet being truly valued, to someone like her who had lacked love since childhood and was extremely proud, was simply a lethal poison. She stood up abruptly, walked barefoot to the floor-to-ceiling window, and watched the taxi downstairs quickly blend into the night. An unprecedented light flashed in her eyes. Then you'd better be prepared to be entangled by me, and never escape for the rest of your life. Meanwhile, you, at this moment, were leaning back leisurely in the back seat of the taxi. The pleasant chime of the system notification rang in your mind. Ding! Triggered hidden achievement, playing hard to get. Determined that you have successfully pushed Yao Jing's emotional threshold to the breaking point. Yao Jing's emotional state has changed, upgraded from dependent, conquered to fanatical, undying devotion. Congratulations. You have received a massive emotional value reward of 10,000 points. The night breeze poured in through the car window, blowing away the lingering scent of Yao Jing's perfume on your body. Right now, your eyes were clear and cold. Where was even a fraction of the deep affection and gentleness from just now? A top tier hunter always maintains absolute rationality. You knew very well, the more unattainable something is, the more people want it. The easier it is to get, the less it's cherished. This wasn't just a wake-up call for Yao Jing. It was even more so, a wake-up call for the past you, who had begged for love so humbly in the dust. Humans really are gluttons for punishment. You slowly close your eyes, and in your mind, faces that were cold and ruthless surface one by one. The current me is indeed very greedy. I want it all. At the same time, at the Jiangche Municipal Public Security Bureau, inside the office of the Criminal Investigation Detachment, a loud bang scared all the police officers into shrinking their necks. Mu Yulu slammed a thick stack of case files fiercely onto the desk. Her heroic, imposing face was covered in frost like a volcano, ready to erupt at any moment. But only she knew that the anger in her heart wasn't because of the cases at all, but because of you. That Du Zitang who hugged Yao Jing in public and looked at her with cold eyes. Damn it, damn it, damn it. She cursed frantically in her heart, but the more she suppressed it, the clearer that image became. Your bare upper body, the teardrop mole at the corner of your eye, and that doting smile you gave Yao Jing. That was her younger brother. The brother who used to only revolve around her. The brother who would blush just seeing her in uniform. What right did he have to treat another woman so well now? Just then, a violent cramp suddenly struck her stomach. Mu Yulu's face instantly turned deathly pale. She clutched her stomach tightly, a fine layer of cold sweat seeping from her forehead. Her old stomach problem was acting up again. As a criminal investigator, irregular meals were a common occurrence. Mu Yulu's stomach had been ruined long ago. With a hiss, the severe pain made her instantly double over. Her tall, straight posture now looking somewhat hunched. She subconsciously reached out her right hand, feeling toward the top right corner of her desk. Every day in the past, as long as she was working late and hadn't gone home, there would always be, without fail, a thermos placed right there. Inside was soft, sweet millet porridge, at just the right temperature. It was delivered by you personally, no matter the wind or rain. Regardless of whether she gave you a good attitude or not, that thermos was always there. She had even gotten used to flipping through case files while drinking that bowl of porridge. But today, her hand grasped nothing but air. The touch of the cold desk was hard and freezing. Mu Yulu completely froze. She turned her head blankly, looking at that empty corner. No thermos, no millet porridge, and certainly not that person who always stood at the door, cautiously urging her, "Second sister, drink it while it's hot." A massive sense of emptiness mixed with a severe pain in her stomach, instantly overwhelming her completely. Right at that moment, her phone suddenly vibrated. The screen lit up. It was a WeChat message. The sender was exactly Muturen, second sister. Are you still working overtime? Don't work too hard. Du Ziteng is just going through a rebellious phase. Don't be mad at him. Without the Du family, he's nothing. Are you hungry? I'll order you some takeout, barbecue or spicy hot pot. Looking at this so-called caring message, not only did Mu Yulu not feel the slightest bit of warmth, she instead felt a strong surge of disgust and irritation. Takeout, barbecue, spicy hot pot. Didn't Mu Turin know she had a severe stomach condition and couldn't eat these things at all? In the past, you never asked her what she wanted to eat because you knew exactly what she could and couldn't eat. You could even remember her menstrual cycle and prepare brown sugar water for her in advance. Yet this so-called biological brother, who had been back for so long, aside from just talking, hadn't even poured her a cup of hot water. Mu Yulu clenched her jaw and slammed the phone face down on the desk. Her stomach hurt even more, hurting so much that her eyes began to sting. As if possessed, she picked up her phone again, and with trembling fingers, scrolled to the number saved as Du Ziteng. She wanted to scold you fiercely, to interrogate you on why you didn't bring the porridge today, to ask if you really wanted to watch her suffer in pain, or maybe she just wanted to hear your voice. Beep. 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 The call went through. Mu Yulu's heartbeat inexplicably sped up. However, sorry, the subscriber you dialed is busy. He didn't answer. Mu Yulu's eyes widened in disbelief. She dialed again. Sorry, the subscriber you dialed is busy. Still, the cold, busy tone. Once, twice, 3 times. The continuous attempts finally made her realize a fact. It wasn't that he was busy, it was that she had been blocked. Du Ziteng, that younger brother who used to be afraid, even when she spoke loudly, had actually blocked her. Smack! The phone slipped from her powerless hand and fell heavily onto the desk. Mu Yulu sat there blankly, clutching his agonizingly painful stomach, staring intently at the empty corner of the desk. At this moment, he finally completely realized Du Ziteng was really gone. He bit his lip hard, tasting the faint, rusty tang of blood. You're ruthless. You're really ruthless. Do you think I really can't live without you? He yanked the drawer open, grabbed a handful of stomach medicine, and swallowed them dry without even a sip of water. The bitter pills scraped down his throat, as if he were swallowing a belly full of grievances. But in those sharp, blade-like phoenix eyes, a layer of mist was welling up, a watery haze that just wouldn't dissipate. It really hurts so much. At the same time, in the Du family's private art studio in Jiangcheng, a sharp tearing sound, a piercing rip, instantly shattered the studio's silence. An expensive canvas was torn to shreds, the easel was kicked to the ground, and the paint palette was overturned and scattered. The scene looked like a gruesome murder site. I'm sorry. I'm too stupid. I'm useless. Mu Turen, hailed as a genius young painter, now spoke with a sobbing voice, as if he had suffered the greatest injustice in the world. Turen, get up first. Mu Tangchen furrowed her brows, her eyes revealing a hint of exhaustion and helplessness. As the 5th sister of the Du family, she was an internationally renowned emerging artist and the guiding light on Mu Turen's artistic path. But right now, she was at her wit's end. She bent down, wanting to help her younger brother up, but Mu Turen actually dodged her touch. He raised his tear-filled eyes, looking at Mu Tangchen pitifully. 5th sister, just leave me alone and let me rot here. The art exhibition is tomorrow, but I can't even draw a straight line. A piece of trash like me will only disgrace the Du family and smear my sister's names. That perfectly timed vulnerability made it impossible to get mad at him, and instead evoked pity. How could that be? You're just too nervous. Mu Tangchen sighed softly. It's not nervousness. I'm panicking. Mu Turen sniffled, his voice lowered to a whisper, full of worry. 5th sister, rumors are flying everywhere outside. I even saw with my own eyes that Du Ziteng is being kept by Yao Jing. Even though I believe he must have his reasons, everyone is saying such awful things. He lowered his head, looking like he was heartbroken over the family's reputation. As soon as I close my eyes, I see people mocking our Du family. I'm heartbroken that he went down the wrong path, and terrified that he'll drag down my sister's reputations. My mind is a mess, and my hands are shaking. How could I possibly hold a brush steady? At this point, a trace of fake doubt flashed in his eyes. Back when Du Ziteng was still at home, he would always help me mix colors by my side. As long as I saw him keeping me company, I felt at ease, and the inspiration would naturally flow. Mu Tangchen looked at her younger brother, but an inexplicable wave of irritation surged in her heart. To prop Mu Turen up as a genius painter, the Du family had invested a massive amount of resources. But now, this so-called genius was dropping the ball at the final hurdle. Actually, Mu Tangchen also had her doubts. In the past, when Mu Turen painted, he liked to lock the door and only let you stay inside to assist him. The finished pieces, though a bit immature in brushwork, were overflowing with spiritual energy, and the composition was grand. But this afternoon, after Mu Turen came back, the things he painted, to be honest, were worse than a middle school art student's. Was it really because his mood was affected? She could only force herself to believe this excuse. The only explanation is that you bastard, ran away from home and are still ruining things for the family. All right, don't be sad. Mu Tangchun took a deep breath, pulled her phone out of her pocket, and her tone instantly turned cold and hard. Then I'll just call him back. In this house, It's not his place to put on airs with me. Since Turin is used to you serving him on the side, then I'll have you come back and serve him one last time. This isn't just for the exhibition. It's also giving you a stepping stone to come back home. After all, this running away from home act, playing it for a while is enough. Meanwhile, in room 404 of the boys' dorm at Jiangcheng University, you had just finished showering and were drying your wet hair with a towel. Buzz, buzz. The phone on the desk started vibrating. 2 words flashed on the screen. Fifth sister. Calling at this hour? You casually pressed the speakerphone button and continued drying your hair. Hello? Your voice was lazy, carrying the damp, magnetic resonance of someone fresh out of the shower. On the other end of the line, Mu Tangshan was clearly taken aback. Is this voice Du Ziteng? As an extremely sensitive person, Mu Tangshan instantly caught the texture hidden in that voice. Deep, but not dull. Was your voice always like this, Du Ziteng? Mu Tangshan subconsciously softened her tone, but her innate arrogance remained undiminished. Where are you? Come back to the studio immediately. It wasn't a question, but an order, like summoning a dog that comes at her beck and call. Leaning back in your chair, looking out at the night sky, you let out a soft chuckle. Oh, great painter Mu. It's 10 p.m. right now. Do you think I don't need to sleep? Mu Tangshan frowned, but remembering it was from Mu Turin, she forcefully suppressed her anger. Don't give me that sarcastic attitude. Tomorrow is Turin's art exhibition, and it still needs the final finishing touches. He's used to having you assist him. Without you, he can't find his rhythm at all. Get over here right now. She suddenly changed her tune, throwing out a condition like it was charity. As long as you behave and listen, and put away that rotten temper of yours, I can make an exception and bring you into tomorrow's exhibition. Consider it a chance to broaden your horizons and soak in some art. How about it? I'll have the driver pick you up right now. However, the other end of the line fell dead silent. Then, a faint sneer broke the silence. Help with the finishing touches? Your voice, dripping with mockery, drifted from the receiver. Great painter Mu, are you truly naive? Or are you just playing dumb with me? Do you really have no idea how those past paintings came to be? Does Mu Turin have no idea either? Mu Tangshan's face instantly turned deathly pale. She subconsciously looked at the pile of ruined paintings on the floor. What does that mean? Could it be that all the previous paintings were done by you? Impossible. How could you possibly understand art? Du Ziteng, stop flattering yourself. Mu Tangshan flew into a rage out of humiliation, her voice suddenly spiking. I'm letting you come back to give you face, to give you a chance to redeem yourself. Don't push your luck. Listening to the exasperated voice on the phone, the smile in your eyes grew even colder. Mu Tangshan, you seem to have gotten one thing wrong. You're the one begging for help right now, not me. You want me to go back and save the day? Sure. Your voice suddenly dropped low, echoing like a devil's whisper in her ear. Get on your knees and beg me. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll go help polish up that pile of trash. Boom! Mu Tangshan felt her brain explode. A monstrous wave of humiliation rushed straight to her head. Get on my knees and beg you? How dare you say that? You parasite. How dare you tell me to kneel? Du Ziteng, you're crazy. Do you really think that without you, Turin won't be able to paint? Fine. Very well. Since you're being so ruthless, then don't even think about stepping foot in the Du family's door for the rest of your life. Beep. The phone was viciously hung up by Mu Tangshan. Immediately after, ding. Collected Mu Tangshan's rage emotion value, plus 800. Collected Mu Tangshan's panic emotion value, plus 500. Collected Mu Tangshan's inexplicable heart palpitation emotion value, plus 200. Listening to the notification sounds in your mind, you casually blocked the number. Still so stubborn. Just then, a WeChat notification suddenly chimed. You tapped it open and saw a voice message from a contact named Stubborn Old Man. If outsiders saw this nickname, the entire Hoxia art world would probably experience a massive earthquake, because its owner was none other than the leading authority of the Hoaxia art world, the current general chairman of the Hoxia Artists Association, Bai Yun Tao. He was also the most fanatic diehard fan, from when you casually posted videos of your artwork before. Oh, my little ancestor. There's an art exhibition in Jiangcheng tomorrow. Are you going or not? When are you finally going to pick up a brush again? The current art scene is just a bunch of trash flattering each other. Little Ziteng, consider it me begging you. Okay, just paint one piece. Even painting a fan would do. Listening to the old man's energetic ranting in the voice message, the coldness in your eyes dissipated a bit. Your fingers tapped lightly on the screen, typing back a single line. I've prepared a good show for you at the exhibition tomorrow. The Du family's genius, Mu Turin's debut art exhibition, instantly blew up the whole city. An 800-meter red carpet was rolled out from the school gates. Countless media outlets set up their cameras and lenses. He wore a pure white suit, intoxicated by the millions of praises pouring in, his vanity bursting at the seams, but his biological sister beside him, Mu Tangshan, was staring intently at his masterpiece, abyssal gaze, her heart turning ice cold. This painting was supposedly Mu Turin's masterpiece after a 3-day retreat, but Mu Tangshan remembered very clearly. Last night, Her brother's draft was clearly still amateurish. As someone with a morbidly sharp intuition for art, she keenly sensed that the spiritual energy of this painting was highly questionable. Just as doubt arose in her mind, Mu Turin called out to her somewhat uneasily. Mu Tangxun had just suppressed her suspicions and prepared to handle the crowd when the crowd suddenly erupted into a massive commotion. The camera flashes originally aimed at Mu Turin seemed to find a magnetic pole, swiveling in unison toward the end of the red carpet. Who is that? What an intense aura. The next second, you slowly strolled over. You were wearing just a simple black dress shirt, your hands lazily stuffed in your pockets. The sunlight perfectly outlined your flawless jawline, and the teardrop mole at the corner of your eye was a breathtaking, striking red. In just an instant, the entire venue fell dead silent. The girls who were just screaming about how handsome Mu Turin was, now collectively lost their voices. This was followed by even more frantic gasps of shock. Oh my god. This is what a true beauty looks like. Compared to him, Mu Turin on stage looks like an insurance salesman. As soon as these words were spoken, the smile on Mu Turin's face instantly froze. His nails dug fiercely into his palms. Why? Why is it you again? This is my home turf. Yet the moment you appear, all the spotlight is stolen away. Meanwhile, Mu Tangxun's pupils violently contracted. In her artist's vision, everything around her had faded away. In the entire world, only you remained. You weren't human. You were a walking, perfect piece of art, blending decadence and nobility. Mu Tangxun felt her fingertips trembling with excitement. However, an even more bizarre scene occurred. The aloof ragdoll cat in her arms actually let out a coquettish meow in your direction and even reached out its paws, looking like it wanted to pounce on you. Mu Tangxun was shocked. Is this cat in heat? No, it wasn't just the cat. She felt her own body growing hot and restless. Her inspiration had been dried up for 3 whole months, but at this moment, Mu Tangxun was shivering all over. She stared fixedly at you. Her throat suddenly parched. Is this still that submissive, useless younger brother? Why do you now look like a massive, luminous body, making it impossible for her to look away? Just then, a middle-aged man with a balding head stormed out aggressively. It was none other than Mu Turin's mentor, Dean Wang. He had invested heavily in this exhibition, and absolutely would not allow anyone to ruin it. The next second, he blocked your path like a vicious guard dog protecting its master, his eyes filled with undisguised contempt and disgust. Dean Wang pointed at your nose, spit flying everywhere. You weren't invited. Get the hell out right now. What? Seeing Turin's exhibition succeed, you got jealous and wanted to leech off his fame and cause trouble. Immediately after, he turned to face all the media, intending to nail you directly to the pillar of shame. Everyone, look closely. He is the fake young master who stole the nest for 18 years and was kicked out of the Du family. As soon as he said this, the entire crowd was instantly in an uproar. Students and reporters who didn't know the truth immediately started pointing fingers at you. So he's the one who got kicked out. He looks decent enough. Why is he so petty? However, just as you were about to speak, vroom. A beast-like engine roar suddenly blasted at the school gates, instantly drowning out all the noise. Everyone couldn't help but turn their heads to look. They saw a red Ferrari, completely ignoring all the barricades, speeding right onto the red carpet. The sports car brought a wave of arrogant exhaust, stopping perfectly right against Dean Wang's pants. Dean Wang turned deathly pale from fright. His legs went soft, and he almost collapsed to the ground. The gullwing doors slowly rose, and a white canvas shoe stepped lightly onto the red carpet. Following that, a girl with a high ponytail hopped nimbly out of the car, stripped of her usual heavy makeup. Right now, she actually looked like a pure college freshman. But the moment she opened her mouth, she carried an innate arrogance. Dean Wang, has the water in your brain soaked away all your hair? Dean Wang saw clearly who it was, and sounded like he was being choked. And Miss Yao, who knew Yao Jing couldn't even be bothered to give him a glance. She walked straight up to your side and incredibly naturally linked her arm through yours. Her original "I'm the boss of the world" aura instantly retracted, and she turned to you, acting incredibly spoiled. Honey, why are there dogs barking in this dump? It's giving me a headache. The entire venue instantly exploded into chaos. Everyone's eyes nearly popped out of their heads. Why is the eldest Miss Yao acting so cutesy with you? Who just said you were jealous? If you can even tame Yao Jing, would you really be jealous of a Mu Turin? You merely lowered your eyes, your warm palm gently resting on her hair. Your voice was deep and full of doting affection, rushing over in such a hurry, and you have dark circles. Didn't sleep well last night. Could it be you were thinking about me? As soon as your words fell, Yao Jing's body instantly stiffened. Her mind was filled with that fleeting kiss from last night, which made her toss and turn all night. Wu was thinking about you. Her cheeks flushed bright red. She acted tough on the outside, but her legs went weak, and she practically hung her entire body onto you. Her fingers tightly gripped your sleeve, terrified that you would run away. You just smiled faintly, and your fingertips subtly pinched her burning earlobe. You softly said the word, "Good girl." Yao Jing's heartbeat completely lost its rhythm. However, not far away, the hands Mu Tangxun used to hold the cat had unknowingly tightened fiercely. The cat in her arms let out a cry of pain, but she didn't notice at all. Her gaze was deadlocked on the hand you placed on Yao Jing's head. Why? Watching you gently stroke another woman, why did her heart feel so sour and bitter? But at the same time, an even more bizarre urge exploded in her mind. Looking at your cold yet doting side profile, looking at that crimson teardrop mole at the corner of your eye, Her fingers began to tremble violently. I want to paint you. I want to paint the desire in your eyes. I want to paint that hand full of dominance. This thrill of bursting inspiration, intertwined with the deep jealousy in her heart, plunged her entire being into a strange state of hyper-excitement. Just then, a black Audi with government license plates slowly drove into the venue. The car door opened, and a pot-bellied, middle-aged man stepped out. It was President Jiang of the Provincial Artists Association. Dean Wang, who was unbearably arrogant just a moment ago, instantly changed like a completely different person. His face piled high with a sycophantic smile. He jogged all the way over and personally closed the car door for President Jiang. Oh my, President Jiang, what brings you here to grace us with your presence? It truly brings light to our humble dwelling. President Jiang nodded reservedly, his gaze sweeping over the commotion at the entrance. When he saw Yao Jing, his eyes flickered slightly. Isn't this the eldest miss of the Yao family? He immediately put on a magnanimous posture and spoke in a condescending tone. Art, you see, should let 100 flowers bloom. Just let him go in and learn a bit. That's how young people grow, right? Dean Wang nodded repeatedly. When he turned to look at you, his eyes were full of a consider-yourself-lucky kind of charity. You, however, looked indifferent, as if watching a ridiculous monkey show. You held Yao Jing's hand and strode toward the exhibition hall. But just as you passed by Mu Tangchun, the usually silent fifth sister finally couldn't hold back. She suddenly took a step forward, blocking your path directly. Those usually lazy eyes were now staring dead at you. Du Ziteng. Her voice was hoarse, carrying suppressed anger, and a trace of imperceptible grievance. Since you're here, then behave yourself. Today is an important day for Turin. I won't allow you to ruin it for him. After all, the Du family raised you for 18 years. You need to know how to be grateful. Don't be an ungrateful wretch. Yao Jing was about to blow her top right then and there, but you gently squeezed her palm, signaling her to stay calm. You stopped in your tracks and looked back at Mu Tangchun with a calm gaze. An aura that could make her inspiration explode domineeringly drilled into her nose. Mu Tangchun felt like every breath she took was trembling. The next second, you let out a light chuckle, your eyes full of mockery. Ruin his hard work? Mu Tangchun, aren't you being a bit too quick to judge? A gentleman with the heart of a scoundrel? You leaned down slightly, getting close to Mu Tangchun's ear. This ambiguous posture made Mu Tangchun's heartbeat instantly skip half a beat. She only heard you whisper a few words. I'm here to give you all a grand gift. After saying that, you took Yao Jing and walked into the exhibition hall without looking back, leaving Mu Tangchun standing there blankly, her cheeks burning hot, her eyes hazy. Meanwhile, inside the exhibition hall, President Jiang was standing in front of Mu Turin's painting, shaking his head in continuous admiration. Brilliant. It's simply brilliant. Dean Wang, this student of yours is a rare, excellent prospect. This kind of spirituality, this pure talent, actually came from the hands of an 18-year-old boy. Immediately after, he announced loudly and clearly in front of everyone, the gold medal for this provincial youth exhibition definitely belongs to you. I can even make an exception and recommend you to become the youngest board member of the Provincial Artists Association. As soon as these words came out, the entire venue was once again in an uproar. A director of the Provincial Art Association, that's the lifelong dream of countless painters. Mu Turin's hands were trembling with excitement. However, for this painting, his only contribution was signing his own name. This was clearly your painting. But as Mu Turin looked at President Jiang's fanatical eyes, vanity instantly overpowered his fear. Anyway, that trash has already been kicked out. Who would believe him? Just Yao Jing? Is she more authoritative than the experts? Thinking of this, he immediately straightened his back, wearing a smile that was both humble and smug. Thank you for the praise, President Jiang. I will continue to work hard. Dean Wang was grinning from ear to ear. He deliberately raised his voice, looking at you with a sarcastic sneer. Mu Turin's talent is truly rare in this world. Unlike some people who enjoyed the best resources for 18 years, and what happened? They can only be an assistant, just doing grunt work without a single ounce of inspiration. But Mu Turin, in less than half a year, has created such a masterpiece. But right at that moment, a sudden, urgent ringtone abruptly shattered the atmosphere in the exhibition hall. President Jiang took out his phone. Just glancing at the caller ID, the arrogance on his face vanished instantly, replaced by an almost pilgrimage-like reverence. He even unconsciously bowed slightly, holding the phone with both hands as he answered. Hello, Secretary Liu. Yes. I'm right here at the venue. What? He's coming in person? Hanging up the phone, President Jiang's face flushed with excitement. He took a deep breath, turned to look at Mu Turin, and put on airs again. Turin, guess who's here? It's Bai Yuntao, Elder Bai. He is coming here in person. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire crowd went wild. The air seemed to freeze. Bai Yuntao. That's the absolute titan of the art world. His words are worth their weight in gold. The immense joy made Mu Turin dizzy. Elder Bai is coming to see my painting. Of course. President Jiang started posturing again, slowly and deliberately adjusting his collar. With Elder Bai's status, he must know I'm here. Otherwise, why would he come to a campus art exhibition? Turin, you have to perform well. As long as Elder Bai gives the nod, you'll step right into the national level halls of art. Beside them, Dean Wang straightened his back even more, feeling deeply honored by association. He looked at you again, his eyes full of contempt. Some people should really know their place. This place is about to become a sanctuary for masters. It's not a place for just any random stray cat or dog. Don't end up slapping your own face later. At this, Yao Jing's barely restrained temper was instantly ignited. Her delicate eyebrows shot up. Without a second thought, she was about to rush up and tear that dean's mouth off. However, before she could even take a step, a warm touch came from her wrist. Your slender fingers had gently rested on her pulse. Shh. You lowered your head slightly, your gaze as calm as water, even carrying a hint of a lazy smile. Getting anxious again? He's insulting you. Yao Jing puffed up her cheeks and looked up, looking exactly like a fiercely protective little wildcat. You can actually tolerate this. I'm calling my people right now. But your voice was very soft, yet carried an unquestionable sense of control. I told you to control your emotions, Yao Jing. You raised your hand, your fingertips gently tracing her tense jawline. A true superior never shows their joy or anger on their face. Getting worked up over these jumping clowns will only lower your class. Your deep eyes looked straight at her, carrying a magnetic pull that made people sink into them. Besides, I prefer girls who are a bit more obedient. Being too fierce will cost you points. Yao Jing's heartbeat suddenly skipped a beat. Cost me points. You bastard. He's actually grading me at a time like this? But looking into your smiling eyes and feeling the tingling touch of your fingers, the fire in her heart miraculously extinguished, replaced by an urge to act even more perfectly in front of you. Who cares about your points? She muttered softly. Although she was still acting tough, her body obediently softened. That's more like it. A hint of satisfaction flashed in your eyes. The next second, you let go of her hand and turned to walk toward the exhibition hall. There was an empty, unnoticed spot over there. A few movers had just unloaded a painting, tightly wrapped in black cloth. Come give me a hand. You waved at Yao Jing, your tone natural. Since it's a gift for you, we should at least set it up properly, right? Yao Jing froze for a moment, then quickly trotted over to follow you. The two of you started getting busy in the corner. There were no spotlights here, no flowers, and no applause. You even had to endure the mocking gazes cast from the people around you. But this small little world seemed to form its own barrier. You adjusted the easel, while Yao Jing acted like a little bee, buzzing around you, handing you things. Occasionally, your fingers would accidentally brush against each other. That momentary spark of electricity made Yao Jing's ears instantly turn bright red. However, not far away, Mu Tangchun, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, suddenly felt an unbearable tightness in his chest. It was maddening. His gaze uncontrollably pierced through the crowd, locking dead onto you. He saw you lean forward slightly, your shirt outlining the powerful muscles of your back. He saw you turn your face to whisper to Yao Jing. That teardrop mole at the corner of your eye looked exceptionally alluring and vibrant in the light. This scene was simply too blinding. What he couldn't stand even more was that intense, almost insane desire to create that you had awakened in him. So beautiful. That focused expression, that aura of being in the mud, yet remaining as noble as a deity. His fingertips began to tremble violently, not out of anger, but out of a desperate craving to hold a brush. He wanted to paint it. He wanted to paint your lowered eyelashes. He wanted to paint your bobbing Adam's apple. He wanted to paint the cold paleness of your fingertips. An absurd thought suddenly popped into his head. What if it was just him and you in the studio? You would be his exclusive model, even completely naked. Brother, what's wrong with you? Mu Turin's excited voice suddenly exploded in his ear, abruptly shattering Mu Tangchun's daydream. He snapped back to reality. His eyes panicked, and his tone instantly turned icy. It's nothing. Mu Turin, however, didn't notice a thing. He adjusted the tulip pin to his chest, his chin raised high. Brother, looks like I'm going to be one step ahead of you this time. He glanced at you in the corner, his eyes full of smugness. With Elder Bai's endorsement later, the auction price for my painting will probably surpass your highest record. When that happens, I'll be the one holding up the Mu family's reputation. But right at that moment, he's here. Elder Bai is here, someone shouted. The crowd instantly parted like the tide. An old man dressed in a traditional tang suit, with snow-white hair and beard, strode in briskly, surrounded by a group of people. He looked incredibly vigorous, his eyes piercing and bright. It was none other than Bi Yuntao. Elder Bai, President Zhang, and Dean Wang immediately rushed forward with faces full of flattering smiles. They bowed so low they were almost at a 90-degree angle. Maturin was so nervous, his palms were sweating, ready to welcome his shining moment. However, Bi Yuntao didn't even spare them a single glance. As soon as he walked in, his sharp, eagle-like eyes swept across the exhibition hall. Sweeping across, finally, they locked dead onto the painting right in the center, gaze of the abyss. Everyone thought Elder Bai only understood traditional Chinese painting. Little did they know, his oil painting The Yellow River was still hanging in the Museum of Modern Art in France to this day. Good painting. What a profound concept. An astonishing brilliance burst from Elder Bai's eyes. He shoved the blocking President Zhang aside and quickly walked up to the painting. He almost pressed his face against the canvas, his beard trembling with excitement. I've painted my entire life, and I thought I'd never see a piece like this again. These brushstrokes, these colors, it's clearly shattering despair and molding it anew. I've finally seen a true masterpiece. He suddenly turned around, his eyes eagerly searching through the crowd. His voice was as loud as a bell. Where is the person? The one who painted this? Bring them here immediately. Motoren took a deep breath, suppressing the wild ecstasy in his heart. He elegantly took a step forward and bowed deeply. Elder Bai, your student, Motoren. This humble work is exactly. However, before he could finish, Bai Yuntao's gaze had already landed on the signature at the bottom right corner of the painting. It clearly displayed three characters. Motoren, In that instant, Elder Bai's expression froze. Who is this? The air seemed to freeze for a second. The old man's trembling beard suddenly stilled. A flash of astonishment crossed his eyes, which then turned into a profound, unfathomable amusement. This painting was clearly done by that kid. Why is the signature from this guy who looks like he has a weak kidney? Elder Bai slowly straightened his back and turned to look at Mutaran. This painting, he dragged out his words, his voice betraying neither joy nor anger, was painted by you? Mutaran's heart was about to leap out of his throat. The immense sense of vanity instantly went to his head. Yes, Elder Bai. His voice was trembling, but he still tried to feign composure. This is a work your student poured his heart and soul into during a 3-day retreat. Poured your heart and soul into it. What a great heart and soul. Bai Yuntao suddenly smiled. The smile was amiable and kind, which made you, standing not far away, smile as well. This old fox is starting to lay the bait. The next second, Bai Yuntao put his hands behind his back, acting like a student humbly seeking advice. He pointed at the black vortex in the center of the painting. Student Mu, I am quite amazed by your handling of this abyssal impression. How did you come up with the idea of using Prussian blue mixed with burnt umber as the base color, and then dry brushing with titanium white to create that soul-devouring sense of suffocation? As soon as this question was asked, all the knowledgeable painters in the audience nodded in agreement. However, the smile on Mutaran's face instantly stiffened. Prussian blue, burnt umber, and dry brushing? What the hell are all these things? He was too busy playing video games back then. How would he know how you painted it? Cold sweat instantly soaked his back. Mutaran stammered, forced to bite the bullet and start spouting nonsense. Actually, I had a burst of inspiration at the time. I was in a very profound, mystical state. I don't remember the exact color mixing. I just felt it, and my hands moved on their own. You saw Bai Yuntao raise an eyebrow slightly. His smile deepened, but it held no warmth. Oh? A mystical state? Then what about this stroke of highlight on the edge of the abyss? What's the story behind this? He pointed to the top right corner of the painting, at an inconspicuous streak of light. This looks like a casual stroke, but the control of force and thickness is absolutely textbook level. Which number palette knife did you use? Or did you just smear it with your fingers? Mutaran's legs were already starting to turn to jelly. Palette knife or fingers? How could he possibly know? The originally admiring gazes from the crowd gradually turned into suspicion. As the creator, how could he be completely clueless about the most basic common sense? Even Mu Tangchun's brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Watching Mutaran's panicked state, the doubt in his heart almost turned into certainty. Did he really paint this? Did student Mu forget this too? Bai Yuntao pressed on step by step, his voice gentle but acting like a hidden blade, slicing away at Mutaran's nerves cut by cut. Or perhaps, the creation process of this painting has something unspeakable about it. Mutaran was now completely panicking. His psychological defenses were on the verge of collapsing, but he knew he absolutely couldn't blow his cover. Right at that moment, he caught a glimpse out of the corner of his eye of Dean Wang beside him. It was like grabbing onto a lifesaver. Actually, Mutaran shouted hastily, actually this painting isn't solely my own work. It was under the careful guidance and personal touch-ups of my mentor, Dean Wang, that it was finally completed. As soon as he said this, the entire venue instantly erupted in an uproar. Doesn't this mean the master ghostwrote and touched it up? But even so, for a master and disciple to collaborate on such a masterpiece was truly rare in this world. Dean Wang was taken aback at first. Then, seeing the gaze Bai Yuntao cast his way, he was overjoyed instead of surprised. This was simply a pie falling from the sky. As long as he could tie himself to this painting, his status would skyrocket. Ahem. Ahem. That is indeed the case. Dean Wang straightened his back and shamelessly took the microphone. Although Turin has talent, his techniques are still a bit immature. These few key details were indeed ahem. Ahem. Done with me guiding him from the side, and I even personally took the brush to demonstrate for him. The more he spoke, the smoother his lies became, as if he had actually painted it himself. To receive Elder Bai's approval is also an honor for me as his teacher. You saw the depths of Bai Yuntao's eyes flash with a thick layer of mockery. You thought to yourself, all right then, not only did we catch the thief, we caught the whole damn nest. He turned his head, his gaze crossing over the crowd, meeting your eyes from afar in the corner. You exchanged a look that only the two of you could understand. It was the tacit understanding of hunters watching their prey fall into the trap. The next second, Bai Yuntao turned around and waved his secretary over. Little Lu, write all of this down for me. He pointed at Mutaran and then pointed at Dean Wang. These gentlemen here are the pillars of Jiangcheng's art world. Make sure you get their names and positions down clearly. Don't miss a single word. When we get back, we need to properly promote this kind of beautiful tale of a master and student co-creating a masterpiece. The entire venue instantly boiled over. This looked like they were going to be heavily groomed for success. Thank you for your patronage, Elder Bai. Dean Wang was so excited, his face turned bright red, bowing almost 90 degrees. Mutaran even wept tears of joy, feeling like his life had reached its absolute peak. The gazes cast from all around were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Only Mu Tangchen stood at the edge of the crowd, not joining in the cheering. His gaze uncontrollably drifted back toward the shadows. He stared intently at you, unblinking, and you had a cold, indifferent smirk playing on your lips. There was no disappointment in your smile, nor was there any jealousy. There was only the apathy of watching clowns partying on the edge of a cliff, even carrying a bit of cruel satisfaction. Right at that moment, You suddenly turned your head, your peach blossom eyes meeting his gaze perfectly. The piercing power of that look made his ears turn red instantly. But you completely ignored him. You felt a wave of warmth coming from your arm. It was Yao Jing, standing on her tiptoes, leaning close to your ear, her breath smelling like orchids. Hey! Du Zitang looked at the tear mole by your eye, his breathing growing embarrassingly ragged. I feel like you're way worse than me. You didn't even do anything, yet it feels like you've played everyone. She bit her lip, her voice soft and sweet. You're the biggest bad guy in Jiangqing. You turned your head, looking down at her. The young girl looked up, her eyes brimming with starlight, reflecting nothing but your silhouette. Bad? Your voice was deep, carrying an indescribable sense of doting. This is called outsmarting them, baby. As soon as your words fell, Dean Wang's laughter was still stuck in his throat, but Bi Yuntao's next words were like a basin of liquid nitrogen, instantly freezing the entire room. Did you get all that down? Bi Yuntao dropped his amiable facade, his cloudy old eyes shooting out a terrifying sharp glare. Dean Wang of the Jiangsheng University Academy of Fine Arts and student Mu Turan have deceived the public and committed academic fraud. Their moral conduct is utterly corrupt. Effective immediately, they are permanently stripped of their status as painters and banned for life from entering any official artists' association. All art association-affiliated organizations are forbidden from having any contact with these two. Dead silence. A deathly silence filled the room. Dean Wang's smile froze on his face like a cracked, cheap mask. Elder Bai. Did you say that backwards? Dean Wang stammered, his legs trembling uncontrollably. Mu Turan's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Backwards? Bai Yuntao scoffed coldly, his voice brimming with fury. He raised his hand and waved at the staff. Turn on the projector. Let everyone here get a good look. A massive projection lit up on the wall, and a high-definition video began to play. The background was that cramped studio in your house. In the frame, there was only the back of a young man. You were wearing a faded white shirt, that straight, unyielding spine, that lean yet resilient aesthetic. It was actually you. Even if it was just a view from the back, that cold, aloof, and arrogant aura made everyone recognize you at a single glance. In the video, your movements were as smooth as flowing water, without the slightest hesitation, mixing colors, applying strokes, dry brushing. That very stroke of color that Elder Bai had highly praised was created right under your slender fingertips, blending out bit by bit. That fanaticism of pouring one's soul into the painting. The suffocating tension could be felt even through the screen. The entire room instantly erupted in an uproar. All eyes shifted away from Mu Turan in unison and ultimately converged on you in the corner. But you couldn't care less, still chatting and laughing with Yao Jing beside you. Standing at the edge of the crowd, Mu Tangchun only felt a buzzing in her ears. Her pupils contracted violently, staring fixedly at the hand holding the brush on the screen. It's him. Mu Tangchun's nails dug deeply into her palms. So, those paintings full of spiritual energy were really painted by you. So, that younger brother she despised for not understanding art was the true genius all along. Why did he never tell me? Why did I never pay attention to his talent? An overwhelming wave of regret instantly drowned her. But amidst this regret, a much more dangerous emotion was quietly breeding. Right at that moment, Li Yuntao suddenly turned around, pointing at Mu Turan, who was slumped on the floor. His voice exploded like thunder, taking someone else's blood, sweat, and tears, and citing your own name on it. You couldn't even make up a convincing creative process. Is this the genius you all propped up? He is an absolute disgrace to the art world. Mu Turan opened his mouth, but his throat could only let out strange guttural sounds. It was over, completely over. The halo of talent he had worked so hard to flaunt was completely and utterly shattered. However, Bi Yuntao didn't spare these clowns another glance. He walked briskly over to you, and that stern old face was instantly covered in a flattering smile. Kiddo, you've been wronged. I'll have someone change the name back right now and stamp it with my personal seal. How about that? As soon as he said this, the surrounding crowd gasped. Elder Bai's personal seal. With that seal on it, the value of this painting would instantly multiply by more than 10 times. Everyone thought you would gladly accept. However, you just cast a faint glance at the painting. There was not a shred of attachment in your eyes, only disgust. It was like looking at a piece of cake that had been swarmed by flies. No need. Your voice was cold, echoing through the dead silent exhibition hall. Something that's been touched by dirty hands, even if it was originally a piece of jade, is now just a rock covered in shit. After saying that, under everyone's watchful eyes, you took long strides and walked straight toward the painting. Rip. The piercing sound of tearing canvas rang out. That painting, valued at over $1 million, was just like that, mercilessly ripped off the easel by you. Immediately after, with a flick of your wrist, the canvas traced a parabola in the air and fluttered down to land at Mu Turan's feet. It was like throwing away a piece of used scrap paper. Since you like it so much, I'll give it to you. Take it home. You looked down at him from above, your eyes filled with an indifferent, icy chill. Mu Turan reached out with trembling hands to touch the torn canvas. That was the hard evidence of his forgery. Mu Tangchun watched this scene, her heart feeling like it was being fiercely gripped by an invisible, giant hand. Suffocating. Yet, deep down, she felt a twisted sense of pleasure. This aesthetic of destruction, this arrogance that treated money and fame like dirt, it made the blood in her veins boil. Meanwhile, Yao Jing looked at you, the stars in her eyes practically overflowing. She thought to herself, if something of mine gets dirty, I don't want it anymore. This kind of spiritual germophobia was the ultimate form of mockery, high damage, and even higher insult. Whoosh! The black cloth fell away like water. The entire exhibition hall fell dead silent. Your oil painting, Daybreak, was suddenly revealed. The beam of light in the painting looked as if it had truly torn through an endless abyss. Art titan B. Yuntao looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His cane clattered to the ground with a clang. He walked forward, trembling, reaching out a hand only to pull it back, terrified of defiling this divine masterpiece. He abruptly turned around, tears streaming down his old face, his voice shaking. I never imagined that I would see such a masterpiece from the brush of a youth. This is true art. As soon as he said this, the whole room exploded. In the crowd, President Zhang, who had just been kissing up to Muturin, turned pale, cold sweat instantly breaking out on his forehead. He immediately tried to distance himself. The next second, he beat his chest and roared. I knew there was something wrong with that painting. So the real treasure is right here. Before he even finished speaking, he rushed over to you in 2 quick strides, smiling so hard his face wrinkled up. Du Xiaoyang, I'm from the Provincial Art Association. The prime spot in next month's exhibition is yours. But you couldn't even be bothered to lift your eyelids. Staring coldly at the QR code he held out, you parted your thin lips and spat out a single word. Scram. That one word was spoken lightly, but it felt like a resounding slap right across President Zhang's face. His smile instantly froze, his hand awkwardly suspended in midair. And at this very moment, watching his supporters defect at the last minute, Mu Turen felt like he had plunged into an ice cave. He looked at you, surrounded by the crowd, then looked at the trash can by his feet, and suddenly snapped awake. Something was wrong. This was way too wrong. The painting he had taken was deliberately left behind by you when you ran away from home. It was as if you had intentionally placed it there, waiting for him to take the bait. And you clearly had countless opportunities to expose him, yet you chose to hold back and instead painted this even more stunning piece to humiliate him in public. This was a trap. This was a trap you set from the very beginning. Mu Turin abruptly looked up, his eyes bloodshot, glaring at you. You had anticipated everything. You deliberately waited until today. Waited until Elder Bai was present, waited until the media had gathered, just to deal him this fatal blow in front of everyone. What ruthless scheming. Mu Turin gritted his teeth, screaming frantically in his heart, Du Zaiting. You didn't do this to prove your innocence at all. You just wanted to destroy me. His eyes were red, his whole body trembling, his gaze turning vicious. I haven't lost yet. As long as my sisters are still here. Just then, a flurry of hurried footsteps rang out. The president of Jiangchen University, surrounded by a group of school officials, came running over, panting heavily. Yet he completely ignored everyone else, spotting Yao Jing beside you at a glance, his face breaking into a huge smile. Oh, my little ancestor, what brings you to campus today? You didn't skip class, and you didn't even give me a heads up. What if you bumped into something and got hurt? Yao Jing just crossed her arms, casting a lazy glance at him. To everyone's surprise, Yao Jing spoke with a contemptuous tone, directly blasting him. You old geezer. The standards of your school are getting lower and lower. Any random dog or cat can be a dean, and any thief can host an exhibition. Her tone suddenly shifted, turning icy cold. I think for next year's sponsorship, the Yao family will have to reconsider. Hearing this, the president didn't get angry at all. Instead, he nodded with a beaming smile. Yes, 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 whatever you say. But the moment he turned around, his previous amiable demeanor vanished instantly, replaced by the coldness and authority of someone long accustomed to power. He stared at the dean, his voice devoid of any warmth. Dean Wang, since Miss Yao says your standards are low, then you've failed in your duties. You have poor judgment and character, and you've enabled a student to commit fraud. Pack your bags and get out. After saying that, his gaze shifted to Mu Turin, like he was looking at a pile of garbage. As for this student, the president's tone was flat, but every word was like a knife. Corrupt intentions, depraved conduct. Jiangchen University is too small a temple to house such a big Buddha. Expel him. Issue a university-wide notice. As for the suspected fraud, call the police and let them handle it directly. Another fatal, heavy blow. Mu Turen felt the world spinning around him. The flame of revenge that had just ignited in his heart was instantly extinguished. Expelled? Police? He was the true young master of the Du family. No, I'm innocent. He wailed and lunged at the president, only to be dodged with disgust. Nearby, Mu Tangchen's nails had dug deep into her palms. The Du family's face was completely lost today. If Mu Turen really got expelled and went to jail, then the Du family's reputation would be utterly ruined. She had to do something. Mu Tangchen's gaze locked dead onto you in the center of the crowd. Only you could fix this, as long as you were willing to let it go. An inexplicable desire grew wildly in the depths of her heart. That perfect man was her younger brother. She longed to personally measure every inch of your body. Driven by this impulse, Mu Tangchen could no longer care about dignity. She rushed into the crowd, and before anyone could react, she grabbed your wrist. Come with me. Bang. The heavy fire door slammed shut. It cut off all the noise from the outside world. In the narrow, dimly lit space, only the sound of your breathing and hers remained. Mu Tangchen leaned against the door, her chest heaving violently, trying to use her authority as an older sister to suppress Du Ziteng. Go explain it to the president right now. Tell him you gave that painting to Turin, or that you two painted it together. You can't just watch him get expelled. Explain? You let out a soft chuckle, your voice deep and magnetic. Mu Tangchen, is your brain broken? He stole my painting. He humiliated me. He brought this upon himself. Now that he's screwed up, you want me to wipe his ass for him. On what grounds? Mu Tangshun bit her lower lip, her eyes instantly turning red. On the grounds that the Du family raised you for 18 years. On the grounds that I'm your fifth sister. You can't be this heartless. He is, after all, Mom and Dad's biological son. Family? You suddenly moved. You took long strides, closing in step by step. An overwhelming sense of oppression instantly enveloped Mu Tangshun. She subconsciously tried to back away, but her back hit the cold door. There was nowhere left to retreat. What are you doing? Her voice began to tremble, her earlier dominance vanishing into thin air. The next second, you stepped right in front of her, slamming one hand against the door right next to her ear. A wall pin full of possessive dominance. The distance between you two was incredibly close. She could feel your warm breath brushing against her cheek. You leaned in slightly, whispering into her ear, your voice like a hook. Great painter Mu, what about me? Did you ever think about me? You suddenly demanded, your tone as cold as ice, speaking to me in that commanding tone. Do you think you're still that high and mighty fifth sister? That single sentence made Mu Tangshun freeze all over. She wanted to retort, but memories flooded her mind like a tidal wave. Under the dim light, your face was inches away. No longer the cowardly boy from her memories. Right now, your features were sharp, your eyes holding 3 parts wickedness and 7 parts cold indifference. Beneath your open collar, the sharp lines of your collarbones exuded a fatal, sexy attraction. Every single detail stepped perfectly onto her aesthetic sweet spot. Damn it. As a painter with a morbid pursuit of beauty, Mu Tangshun's breathing instantly fell into disarray. That dizzying beauty, mixed with your addictive sneer, instantly shattered all her rationality. She had clearly come to interrogate you, but now, her gaze was uncontrollably glued to you, greedily tracing your silhouette. She wanted to paint you. No, she wanted to lock you in her studio, strip off these eyesore clothes of yours, and make you belong only to her, to become her most perfect inspiration. Once this crazy thought appeared, it grew wildly in her heart. Mu Tangshun's body actually began to go soft, a flush of unspeakable heat rising within her. I wasn't commanding you. Her voice instantly softened, carrying a trembling, alluring charm. I just don't want to see the family fall apart. Du Zitang, considerate fifth sister. Begging you, okay? Her eyes began to blur, as if covered in a layer of mist, wet and dripping with desire. You looked down, scrutinizing her, the mockery in your eyes deepening. The woman before you was usually arrogant and lazy, but now she was begging humbly like a desperate, begging cat. Not only did you not soften, you maliciously reached out a finger and gently hooked the first button of her silk shirt. Your fingertips slid downward, that slightly cool touch shooting through her sensitive skin like an electric current. A low moan escaped Mu Tangshun's throat. Her body so weak she practically collapsed into your arms. Mu Tangshun, the way you look right now. If your Sims saw you like this, what kind of expressions would they make? Your voice carried a wicked tease, yet was fatally gentle. If you're begging someone, you need to show sincerity. Is your so-called begging just moving your lips? Or you leaned in closer again, your lips almost touching her burning earlobe, blowing softly. Do you want to use this method to trade for your trash brothers? Way out. A massive wave of shame instantly exploded in her mind. Mu Tangshun's face flushed bright red, tears swirling in her eyes. She wanted to push you away, wanted to curse you for being shameless, but her body was completely out of her control. She even craved more, craved to be completely swallowed by your madness. This was exactly what she had been searching for, the pain and pleasure that could pierce the soul. It's not like that. Mu Tangshun's voice was as quiet as a mosquito, laced with a sob. You looked at her bewildered, infatuated state, your eyes full of mockery. Mu Tangshun, you really look like a painting right now. The next second, you delivered the final judgment, word by word, titled The Fallen Saintess. You forcefully tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet your gaze. Admit it, you don't care whether Mu Turin lives or dies. You're just jealous. Jealous of my painting, jealous of my talent, and even more jealous that Yao Jing gets to stand by my side, while you can't. Every word was like a scalpel, precisely dissecting her most hidden inner thoughts. Mu Tangshun's pupils contracted violently. You hit the nail on the head, but beneath this extreme shame, an even stronger surge of pleasure welled up inside her. You were trampling on her, but your eyes were only on her. In this moment, she was the only person in your world. Du Zitang. She closed her eyes, trembling, teardrops hanging from her lashes, looking completely at your mercy. Stop talking. Please stop talking. You can do whatever you want. She even proactively raised her arms, wanting to wrap them around your neck, even if it was just for a kiss. Just as your breaths intertwined and the atmosphere was about to detonate, tap, tap, tap. A sudden flurry of footsteps came from outside the door. Creak. The fire lumas violently pushed open from the outside. Blinding light poured in, instantly scattering all the ambiguity. Mu Tangshun reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, panicking and springing away from you. She instinctively covered the button you had undone, her cheeks flushed, her legs weak, a lingering haze still in her eyes. However, the person standing at the door wasn't Yao Jing. It was someone in a white lab coat, wearing glasses, radiating the smell of disinfectant Mu Yuqian. She stood at the boundary of light and shadow, her icy gaze scanning with laser-like precision. First, it landed on Mu Tangshun's messy hair, then locked dead onto your open collar, and the scratch marks on your clothes. Deep within Mu Yuqian's pupils, a flash of extremely suppressed gloom flickered. Her perfect specimen had been tainted by someone else's scent. T-third sister. Mu Tangshan's voice was shaking. It was the extreme shame of having a secret exposed, and an instinctive fear of this germophobic sister. But Mu Yuqian didn't say a word. She walked into the storage room, stood in front of Mu Tangchun, and pulled a pack of alcohol wipes from her pocket. Reap. She tore it open. Wipe yourself. Her voice was terrifyingly steady, yet carried a bone-chilling disgust. She paused, her gaze pointedly sweeping over Mu Tangchun's burning cheeks. You look very undignified right now. Boom. A massive wave of shame instantly washed away Mu Tangchun's sanity. His face was so red it looked like it was about to bleed. He snatched the book of songs away, not even daring to look at you again. He stumbled out the door and fled. He had to get away, right now. That cold fragrance lingering around you made his legs go weak, hooking his soul like a snare. Humph. The fire door slowly closed, leaving only a narrow gap. You, however, leaned against the shelf, without a hint of panic on your face. Instead, you wore a playful smile. Doctor. What brings you to the school? Your voice carried a hint of huskiness, but to Mu Yuqian's ears, it felt like an electric shock. The next second, your words were shocking. Are you here to lecture me too? Meanwhile, in the hallway outside the exhibition hall, Mu Tangchun was leaning against the cold wall, gasping for air. She frantically wiped her neck and cheeks, trying to erase her disheveled state, yet also wanting to rub the warmth you left behind deep into her skin. Damn it! Why did third sister have to catch us? Right at that moment, a tearful cry rang out. Fifth sister. Mu Tangchun's body instantly stiffened. To her, that voice was like a death warrant. Mu Turin came running over, panting heavily, holding a ragdoll cat in his arms, tear stains still fresh on his face. He saw Mu Tangchun's flushed cheeks and messy clothes, but didn't think anything of it. He just assumed she was furious on his behalf. Fifth sister. Mu Turin timidly tugged at her sleeve, shaking it gently. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, someone as proud as you would never have gone to talk to him. Seeing her blank stare, Mu Turin panicked a little, but forced a pitiful, understanding look on his face. Du Ziteng. He refuses to forgive me, right? He sniffled, his voice choking up but pretending to be strong. After all, I really did use his draft for that painting. I just admired him so much. I had a moment of weakness and couldn't control myself. As soon as he finished speaking, large tears began rolling down his face. His body swayed unsteadily, like a helpless little white flower. Fifth sister. You're so amazing. You must have a way, right? If even you can't save me, I really don't know what to do. He kept crying and complaining endlessly, looking completely weak and incompetent. Compared to the domineering, cold, yet fatally attractive person from just now, it was a tragic contrast. In that instant, the shame and emptiness in Mu Tangchun's heart all turned into a monstrous rage. It was all because of this piece of trash. If it weren't for him, how could so much trouble have happened? If Du Ziteng was still her brother, how could she have been caught by third sister? Get lost. Mu Tangchun violently shook off his hand, her elegant demeanor completely gone. Meow. The ragdoll cat hissed in fright, its fur standing on end, and leaped out of Mu Turin's arms. Fifth sister. Mu Turing stumbled from the push, staring in disbelief. His green tea act had actually failed. Look at yourself. What do you look like right now? Mu Tangchun pointed right at his nose, her voice so shrill it cracked. All you do is cry and beg. Aren't you a genius? Weren't you supposed to uphold our family's reputation? And the result? The painting is a fake, and you're a failure. And you still want me to cover for you? You made me go. She suddenly choked on her words, her face flushing bright red. Your figure flashed in her mind once again. The massive contrast made her feel physically sick just looking at Mu Turin. Fifth sister. How can you say that? Mu Turin's eyes widened, his tears falling even harder, trying to guilt-trip her with family ties again. Did Du Ziteng say something to you? He must hate me for taking his place. So he wants you to hate me too, right? Fifth sister. We're the real family here. Family? Mu Tangchun sneered, her eyes piercingly cold. If it weren't for mom and dad, and the pitiful remains of the Du family's dignity, I'd leave you to fend for yourself right now. After saying that, she unconclusively glanced down the hallway. The end of the corridor was already empty. He's gone. A massive sense of loss instantly washed over her. I'll go talk to mom and dad. Her voice cooled down, laced with exhaustion. But this is the last time. Mu Turin, you'd better pray mom and dad have a solution. Without even sparing him another glance, she turned and walked away briskly in her high heels. She agreed to help, not for the sake of this piece of trash, but because she needed the illusion of protecting the family, to cover up the deep-seated, fermenting love she had for you. Meanwhile, in the small school infirmary, the air was filled with a cold, pungent smell, which gave Mu Yuqian a sick sense of security. Before you could even speak, you were shoved by an irresistible force, straight onto the examination bed. Sit. Mu Yuqian's voice was tight, like a fully drawn bowstring. You just raised an eyebrow. Leaning back with your hands on the edge of the bed, you watched her with amusement. Right then, the system prompt in your mind chimed cheerfully. Collected from Mu Tangchun. Extreme shame emotion value plus 1,000. Collected from Mu Tangchun. Taboo pleasure emotion value plus 1,000. Collected from Mu Tangchun. Inspirational frenzy emotion value plus 1,200. What a massive harvest. The corners of your mouth curled up, asking despite knowing the answer. You said, Dr. Du, what did you bring me here for? Aren't you disgusted by me anymore? But Mu Yuqian didn't answer. Her phoenix eyes were locked dead onto your collar. On your crisp white shirt, there was a faint, ambiguous smear of crimson. It was the lipstick mark Mu Tangchun had accidentally rubbed onto you during her moment of passion just now. But in Mu Yuqian's eyes, it wasn't just red. It was a filthy mark of ownership left by another woman. So dirty? She gritted her teeth, squeezing the words out. The next second, she spun around, roughly yanked open the medicine cabinet, and took out rubbing alcohol and cotton balls. Immediately after, she grabbed an alcohol-soaked cotton ball with tweezers and pressed it ruthlessly against your collarbone without a word. The freezing alcohol brought a sharp sting. Mu Yuqian's movements were heavy, filled with a paranoid mania, as if she wanted to scrub your very skin off. Don't move, she snapped coldly when you tried to dodge, her voice sharp, her other hand pinning your shoulder down hard. You've got something on you that shouldn't be there. It needs to be cleaned off. Seeing the dark obsession in her eyes, you instead tilted your head back slightly, completely exposing your vulnerable Adam's apple to her. The gesture was nothing short of a condescending indulgence. Dr. Du, your voice was deep and husky, laced with amusement. Don't you have severe germophobia? Getting this close to me on your own initiative. Aren't you afraid of being contaminated? Or perhaps... You deliberately dragged out the last syllable, your warm breath brushing against the back of her hand. You actually enjoy the process of cleaning me up? At those words, Mu Yuqian's wiping motion abruptly stopped. Afraid? She was indeed afraid. Afraid she wouldn't be able to hold back from wanting more. Through the gloves, she couldn't even confirm if you were truly clean. That feeling of scratching an itch from the outside of a boot only made the burning heat in her heart grow stronger. Not enough. Still not clean enough. The next second, under your amused gaze, Mu Yuqian slowly raised her hands. She tossed her gloves straight into the medical waste bin. Then, her cold fingertips, without any barrier, directly touched your burning skin. In that instant, it was as if Mu Yuqian's fingertips had been electrocuted, a numbing sensation shooting straight to her brain. So hot. To ensure thorough sterilization, her eyes grew hazy, her voice low and dreamy. A deep inspection is required. The previously mechanical wiping completely changed its nature. Her fingers were no longer forceful, but instead slid slowly down from your Adam's apple, tracing over the tight lines of your muscles. Every touch was lighting a fire. Just then, you suddenly spoke, breaking the trance. Hurry up. Miss Yao is still waiting for me outside. The name Yao Jing was like a drop of water splashing into boiling oil. Mu Yuqian's hazy eyes instantly sharpened. That woman again. Yao Jing. Mu Tangchun. Why was everyone trying to steal what was hers? The poisonous weed called jealousy grew wildly in that moment. Shut up. Mu Yuqian suddenly lost control. She leaned down fiercely, her hands sliding past your neck, and buried her face deep into your chest. You were knocked back against the headboard, while Mu Yuqian greedily took a deep breath, almost frantically inhaling your scent. She wanted to overwrite all the impurities. You were her patient. You had to belong only to her. Collected from Mu Yuqian's sick. Possessiveness, emotion value plus 1,500. Collected from Mu Yuqian's extreme. Jealousy emotion value plus 1,200. The system prompt chimed again. You raised an eyebrow. Dr. Du, is this part of the examination too? At those words, Mu Yuqian's body instantly stiffened. However, as her reason just began to return, not only did she not let go, she hugged you even tighter. You heard her muffled voice coming from your chest, trembling with irrational defiance. I'm checking your heart rate, checking if your heart beats faster for fifth sister. You chuckled softly, the vibration in your chest transmitting clearly to her. And the result? Is my heartbeat normal? Mu Yuqian listened to the steady, powerful heartbeat in her ear. Thump, thump. Every beat felt like a heavy strike against her own heart. You weren't panicked or flustered at all. It frustrated her, yet made her even more obsessed. The next second, Mu Yuqian snapped her head up, her cheeks flushed, her eyes wild and unfocused. Her usual coldness was completely gone. She stared at you intently, her tone fierce yet aggrieved. Normal? There's too much noise in your heartbeat. You looked at her acting like a protective animal and were about to speak. But just then, Du Ziteng, what's wrong with you? Yao Jing's scream suddenly rang out from outside the door, and footsteps were frantically approaching. At that sound, Mu Yuqian reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, instantly springing away. She turned around in a panic, clumsily straightening her white coat, trying to revert back to the cold Dr. Du within 3 seconds. However, you saw her earlobes red as blood, and a smirk curled on your lips. Once some boundaries are crossed, there's no going back. As soon as you close the infirmary door, Yao Jing rushed up to you, bringing a gust of cold air. She scrutinized you like a bristling wild cat, her nose almost touching your collar. Where did you go? You disappeared in the blink of an eye. You remained perfectly calm, smoothly leaning most of your weight onto her shoulder. Her familiar, sweet scent lingered at your nose. You whispered in a weak, hoarse voice, just a little low blood sugar. I felt dizzy. Sure enough, Yao Jing's arrogant attitude instantly fizzled out, replaced by a flustered panic. Why didn't you say so earlier? She hurriedly reached out to carefully support you, her eyes full of remorse. You definitely didn't eat breakfast and got pissed off by those idiots. Looking at her anxious expression, a hint of a smile flashed in your eyes. You reached out, your fingertips gently brushing across her cheek. I don't blame you. Your voice was gentle, but every word struck her heart. Good thing you're here. My power bank. Boom. Yao Jing's body jolted violently, her ears instantly turning beet red. She stubbornly retorted, Who's your power bank? But her arms unconsciously held you even tighter. She instantly switched into her bossy CEO persona. Since you're dizzy, cut the crap. I'm taking you out for a good meal. French cuisine, Japanese, or a 3-star Michelin. But you shook your head, flipping your hand to interlock your fingers tightly with hers. We're not going to those places. A smile curled on your lips. I'll take you somewhere good. The school cafeteria. Along the way, the surrounding gazes had completely changed. The disdain was gone, leaving only awe and envy. Yao Jing felt a bit awkward being stared at, but proudly leaned even closer to you, her chin slightly raised, looking exactly like a kitten waiting to be praised. I've already talked to the principal. They're clearing out the school's biggest art gallery to host an exhibition for you. But then her tone shifted, her voice dropping low, full of grievance. I only just found out you were this amazing at painting. You were right. I guess I really don't understand you that well. You paused your steps, turned sideways, and gazed at her. You raised a hand to tuck a stray strand of wind-blown hair behind her ear, the gesture so gentle it could drown someone. You spoke slowly. There's no need for an art exhibition. I have no interest in empty fame. Your fingertips slid down the curve of her ear, lightly brushing against the sensitive side of her neck. She flinched slightly, her heart skipping a beat. Only then did you lean in, bringing your eyes level with hers, staring into her flustered pretty face. As for understanding me, you deliberately lowered your voice, whispering in her ear, I have many more secrets you don't know about. In the future, you can uncover them slowly. Savor them. You enunciated those last words lightly and slowly. Yao Jing's mind instantly went blank. Who could possibly resist this? Ding. Collected from Yao Jing's shyness and anticipation. Emotion value plus 500. The next second, you both appeared in the bustling, noisy Jiangnan University Cafeteria 3. Yao Jing looked at the crowded sea of people in front of her, completely dumbfounded. What kind of godly place did you bring her to? Her brows were furrowed so tightly they could crush a mosquito. Du Ziteng, are you sure you want to eat? Here? As the eldest daughter of the Yao family, she had never even eaten at a street stall in her life, let alone a crappy, overcrowded cafeteria like this. She scanned the greasy dining tables with a look of disgust, clutching your arm tightly. Can we even sit at this table? You didn't say a word. You just silently pulled out some tissues and methodically wiped the table and chairs until they were spotless. Yao Jing watched your serious profile as you wiped, and the disgust in her heart instantly vanished. Fine. Just for this handsome face of yours, I'd even eat dirt today. Soon, you brought over 2 portions of sizzling black pepper beef on iron plates. There was no exquisite steak or red wine, only billowing steam and a rich, savory aroma. Try it. Compared to those Michelin-starred places that are all about plating, this stuff has a lot more real, down-to-earth flavor. Yao Jing hesitantly took the chopsticks, only to realize that all the students around them were secretly watching. Oh my god, isn't that Yao Jing? She actually came to the cafeteria to eat? Who still dares to say Du Ziteng is a sugar baby? He's clearly got the rich heiress wrapped around his finger. Under the gaze of countless eyes, Yao Jing put a piece of beef into her mouth. The next second, her eyes instantly lit up. The texture was surprisingly tender and flavorful. It's just average. She acted tsundere with her words, but her upturned lips betrayed her. It's just a little hot. As soon as she finished speaking, a spoonful of mixed rice was offered to her lips. You had already mixed it for her, and were feeding it to her directly. Open up. 2 short words, filled with doting affection and an irresistible bossiness. Yao Jing, petrified on the spot. The entire cafeteria went eerily quiet for a second. What is going on? The usually aloof and ascetic you was actually feeding the lawless, arrogant school bully. Yao Jing looked at the spoon you offered, your eyes seemingly reflecting a galaxy of stars. Her cheeks instantly flushed bright red, her heart pounding like a drum. Her reason was screaming at her to refuse, but her body was unbelievably honest. She still slightly opened her mouth and obediently took the spoonful of rice. Seeing her puff out her cheeks like a little hamster, the smile on your lips deepened. Is it good? It was clearly just a $10 fast food meal, but she tasted the flavor of top-tier cuisine. That sweetness spread from the tip of her tongue all the way to her heart. She shyly lowered her head, her voice as soft as a mosquito's hum. And more. The girls around them had their hearts shattered, yet couldn't help but start shipping them on the spot. How is this a sugar baby situation? This is clearly a match made in heaven. Where is the wicked girl in Yao Jing now? She's completely just a pampered little princess. In an instant, all the rumors about you being a kept man completely vanished into thin air. Ding. Collected from Yao Jing's extreme dependence emotion value, plus 800. Collected from the surrounding. Females' envy and jealousy emotion value, plus 200. Meanwhile, at that very moment, Mu Turin walked out of the art center, looking utterly devastated, resentfully muttering your name under his breath. Suddenly, he noticed a blood donation bus parked by the sports field, and just as he saw the bus, under the sunshade next to it, a cold, aloof figure sat quietly. She wore a spotless white coat, her gold-rimmed glasses reflecting a cold glint. That person was actually his 3rd sister, Mu Yuqian. Mu Turin's heart leaped with wild joy, like a drowning man catching a piece of driftwood. He immediately squeezed out a face full of grievance and hurried over to her. In the past, 3rd sister was the most protective of him. As long as he played the victim and shifted the blame to you. He took a deep breath, his voice laced with a sob. 3rd sister. However, Mu Yuqian didn't even bat an eyelid. She just kept repeatedly rubbing her fingertips, as if reminiscing about a certain sensation. It was the lingering warmth, left from touching you in the infirmary just now. Seeing her lack of response, Mu Turin could only continue his acting on his own. 3rd sister, did you come to the school specifically for me too? I knew you cared about me the most. He began to complain tearfully. Just now at the art exhibition Du Zaiting, that guy was simply bullying me too much. He insisted on doing it in front of everyone, forcing the principal to expel me, and even wanted to call the cops to arrest me. He's just jealous of me. Jealous that I took away your love for him. Third sister, I was really so scared, but the only response he got was dead silence. Mu Yuqian finally stopped her hand movements and cast a cold glance at him. That look was like looking at an annoying, noisy fly. She uttered a single word, carrying a bone-chilling coldness. Scram. This extreme disregard humiliated him more than a slap to the face. Mu Turin's expression instantly froze. Third sister. Just as he tried to get closer, Mu Yuqian abruptly took a half step back. Her brows furrowed tightly, her eyes filled with undisguised disgust, covered in germs. Those words were like a sharp knife, stabbing ruthlessly into Mu Turin's heart. On what grounds? Why wasn't Du Zitang considered dirty? Why did he become germs just by getting close? He was going mad with jealousy inside. Since playing the victim didn't work, then he'd prove himself with actions. He noticed the students lining up to donate blood and suddenly hatched a plan. He immediately rolled up his sleeves. Third sister, are you organizing the blood drive here? I want to donate too. I want to do my part for society. I want you to see that I'm completely different from Du Zitang. He only cares about fame and fortune, while I have a heart of dedication. Saying that, he voluntarily sat in the blood-drawing chair, looking at Mu Yuqian with eyes full of expectation. As long as he donated blood, third sister would definitely feel bad for him. However, Mu Yuqian looked at the self-smart idiot in front of her, but her mind flashed back to the crimson smear of your blood from yesterday. That was simply a work of art, and the guy in front of her only made her sick. She waved to the nurse beside her. Draw his blood. Her voice was as cold as ice. The nurse hesitated. Dr. Du, he doesn't look too good. Is 200 milliliters okay? Mu Turin quickly nodded in agreement, putting on a weak front. I'm sorry, third sister. My body's been a bit drained lately. Before he could finish, Mu Yuqian coldly cut him off. 400 milliliters. What? Mu Turin's eyes widened in shock. He simply couldn't believe his ears. Mu Yuqian pushed up her glasses, her gaze completely devoid of warmth. Draw the maximum amount. 400 milliliters. Since you're here to contribute, don't put on this fake act of mercy if you want to wash away your sins. What's a little blood? Or were you just putting on another show for me? This barrage of questions directly roasted Mu Turin over an open fire. The surrounding students were all watching. If he chickened out now, wouldn't he become a laughingstock again? Of course it's not an act. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to hold out his arm. Draw it then. 400 milliliters. He refused to believe his third sister could really be so heartless. However, as the thick needle pierced his vein, he gasped in pain. He sneaked a glance at Mu Yuqian, only to find she had already turned her back to him. Her eyes were glued to her phone screen. On the screen was a candid photo. The subject of the photo was none other than you. You were looking down, gently wiping the sauce from Yao Jing's lips. Mu Yuqian's fingertip pressed fiercely against Yao Jing's face, wishing she could drag that woman right out of the screen. As for her acting brother, Mu Turin, behind her, what did his life or death have to do with her? At this moment, as his blood continued to drain, Mu Turin's face had turned as pale as paper. A full 400 milliliters of blood. To him, it was no less agonizing than being skinned alive. The blood draw finished. He collapsed weakly into the chair, feeling completely hollowed out. Third sister, I'm so dizzy. He reached out, just wanting a single word of concern. But Mu Yuqian had already stood up. She didn't even spare a glance at the bag of blood. She just coldly ordered the nurse, seal it, throw it in the blood bank. With that, she took off her lab coat and tossed it into the laundry basket. Her purpose for coming here was to find you anyway. The task of replenishing your energy was already complete. Not to mention, you had just helped her out of a tight spot. At the thought of this, Mu Yuqian's heart skipped a beat. She didn't want to smell this disgusting green tea scent for another second. Third sister, don't go. Mu Turin struggled to get up, but his vision went dark, and he fell heavily back into the seat. He could only watch in despair as his third sister's resolute back faded away. At that moment, the physical pain was nothing compared to the panic in his heart. Meanwhile, the meal came to an end. Yao Jing elegantly wiped the corners of her mouth, her fingertip tracing an ambiguous circle on the back of your hand. Hey, we've eaten and drank our fill. Isn't it time to burn some calories? SKP just dropped some new arrivals. Accompany this lady for some shopping. She was about to stand up as she spoke, but your hand gently pressed down on her wrist. It seemed like a light touch, yet it made it impossible for her to break free. We definitely should burn some calories. You slowly stood up, pulling her up along with you. But the destination isn't the mall. Yao Jing's eyes lit up, her face full of anticipation. Then where are we going? A hotel? But you just looked down at her, your thin lips parting to spit out two words. To class. Yao Jing's smile instantly froze on her face. Are you out of your mind? Since when does this lady ever go to class? Too lazy to waste breath on her. He simply grabbed her hand and walked off. You accompanied me to the art exhibition this morning. As a reward, I'll accompany you to class this afternoon. That's perfectly fair, isn't it? Dragged along by you, Yao Jing could only stumble after you. That urge to shake off your hand and leave inexplicably vanished. This feeling of being disciplined by someone actually stirred a strange sense of sweetness in her heart. The next moment, the instant you stepped into the lecture hall, The entire room fell dead silent. Nearly 100 pairs of eyes shot over in unison. Yao Jing subconsciously tried to slip away to her exclusive sleeping spot in the back row, but she reached out and pointed directly below the podium, to the golden center seat in the very first row. That was the holy seat for top students, and the execution block for slackers. Du Zaiting. Yao Jing was about to throw a fit, but you had already pulled out the chair, turning sideways to look at her calmly. Your eyes were tranquil, yet carried an undeniable, oppressive weight. Sit. That single word seemed to hold some kind of magic. Yao Jing bit her lip indignantly. Under the gaze of the entire hall, she sat down, puffing her cheeks in anger. Only then did you take the seat beside her, a faint smile playing on your lips. Good girl. Right at that moment, the class bell rang. A white-haired old professor walked in with his textbook tucked under his arm. When his gaze swept over the first row, the hand holding his book gave a violent tremble. That lawless little demon from the Yao family actually came to class and dared to sit in the first row. Immediately after, the old professor's shocked gaze turned to you. A young man sitting perfectly straight with a steady, composed gaze. The old professor's eyes instantly filled with admiration. The usually arrogant and domineering Miss Yao now looked like a tiger with its fangs pulled. Though her face was full of reluctance, she was sitting there quietly and behaving herself. To be able to tame this girl, this kid is no simple character. Soon, the lecture officially began. Dry, theoretical knowledge filled the air. Barely 5 minutes had passed, and Yao Jing was already on pins and needles. She secretly pulled out her phone and was about to boot up a game, when suddenly, a well-defined hand reached over. You kept your eyes fixed on the blackboard, but your hand accurately snatched her phone away. Confiscated. Yao Jing instantly flared up. You merely turned your head, your deep peach blossom eyes looking at her with a half smile. Pay attention to the lecture, student Yao. Otherwise, points will be deducted. Deducting points again. Yao Jing was both angry and annoyed. She actually slipped her hand under the desk, her fingertips tracing along the outside of your thigh, sliding gently in an ambiguous manner. It was an act of retaliation, but even more so, a provocation. She wanted to see how you could possibly focus on the lecture now. Your body stiffened imperceptibly, but you didn't pull away. Instead, your hand moved like lightning under the desk, grabbing back. You caught that restless little hand and locked it in a firm grip, pressing her hand against your leg. Your fingers tightened, carrying a hint of punishment. Then you whispered in her ear, your hot breath brushing against it. Don't move, keep messing around, and I'll do you right here. Yao Jing's entire body went rigid, her cheeks instantly flushing crimson. This was the first row. The professor was right there on the podium, talking endlessly. The thrill of potentially being discovered at any moment made her legs go weak. She didn't dare make another move, and could only let you hold her hand tightly. But what neither of them knew was that, outside the back door of the classroom, a woman in a professional skirt suit was holding up her phone. It was none other than Yao Jing's father's most trusted assistant, Li Jing. Through Li Jing's lens, that lawless eldest miss was actually sitting obediently in the first row, and the instigator of all this was you, holding her hand right beside her. The shock in Li Jing's eyes was practically overflowing. She immediately sent this video, along with your glorious achievements at the art exhibition, straight across the ocean in real time. She attached a concise report. The miss listens to him very well. A few minutes later, far across the ocean, the head of the Yao family, Yao Wu, looked at the footage on his tablet. There wasn't a trace of anger on his face. Instead, he stroked his chin with great interest. Interesting. Neither humble nor arrogant, and he can even keep Jing completely in line. This kid doesn't look like a freeloader. Keep observing him. Don't alert him just yet. At the same time, inside the classroom, the old professor was deeply engrossed in his lecture, but suddenly stopped. With a look that suggested he was ready for a good show, he cast his gaze to the first row. Student Yao Jing, regarding the Skinner boxes from operant conditioning theory, could you give us an example? The entire class instantly went dead silent. Everyone broke a cold sweat for Yao Jing. Yao Jing was completely dumbfounded. She abruptly stood up, her mind completely blank. Skinner box? What the hell is that? Just as her face flushed bright red, and she was about to bite the bullet and say she didn't know, a crystal clear voice drilled into her ear. Without even lifting your head, your lips moved slightly, speaking at a volume only she could hear. It's like taming a beast. Reward it when it does right. Punish it when it does wrong. Over time, it becomes instinct. Yao Jing froze for a second, then subconsciously repeated it. It's like taming a beast. Reward it when it does right. Punish it when it does wrong. The old professor's eyes immediately lit up. Although the phrasing is colloquial, it hits right at the core. Very good. It seems student Yao really put her heart into it today. Sparse applause followed, which quickly grew enthusiastic. Yao Jing sat down, feeling a bit lightheaded. An unprecedented sense of accomplishment made her feel like this wasn't real. She whipped her head around to look at you. You still had that calm, breezy look on your face, only the hand holding hers gently squeezed her fingertips. It was as if you were rewarding an obedient little animal. Yao Jing's heart instantly skipped a beat, but the next second, she suddenly realized something. Is this guy using me as an experiment? Right at that moment, a system notification chimed in your mind. Ding! Collected Yao Jing's admiration and dependency emotion points. Plus 1,000. Finally, the class dismissal bell rang. Yao Jing felt like she'd been granted amnesty. She slumped softly against you. I'm exhausted. Going to class is literally worse than going to prison. She buried her face in the crook of your neck, whining and acting spoiled. I want compensation. I want a huge feast. I want to buy bags. Who knew you would just chuckle? With a flip of your palm, a beautifully wrapped strawberry gummy lay quietly in your hand. Open up. Yao Jing subconsciously opened her mouth. You tore open the wrapper and fed the pink candy into her mouth, your fingertips faintly brushing against her soft lips. You did well. This is your reward. The sweet strawberry scent instantly dispelled all her fatigue. Yao Jing sucked on the candy, the sweetness in her heart overpowering even the taste in her mouth. I'm way too easy to coax. But right then, you took out her phone and handed it over. The moment it touched her hand, it started vibrating like crazy. Yao Jing looked down and saw it was a WeChat message from her dad. My good daughter, there's a banquet next Friday night. Bring that boy along with you. Dad wants to meet him. The air seemed to freeze at that moment. Yao Jing stared dead at the screen, all the color instantly draining from her rosy cheeks. The strawberry candy in her mouth suddenly turned into a bitter taste. A bone-deep terror washed away all the romance. Her first instinct was to run. Smack! Yao Jing violently locked the screen, not even daring to meet your eyes. Let's go. However, you grabbed her wrist. If running away worked, you wouldn't be this terrified. Your voice was very calm, but every word pierced her heart. Before she could argue back, your other hand had already snatched her phone. You immediately held it up to her face, unlocked it with Face ID in one smooth motion, and sent. Okay. The whole process was lightning fast. Yao Jing's pupils shrank drastically. She lunged like a madwoman to grab the phone back. Looking at the unrecallable message, she instantly exploded. Du Zitang, are you sick in the head? She gripped the phone tightly, her knuckles turning white from the force. Her voice was sharp and piercing. Who gave you the right to agree for me? Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're handsome. She jerked her head up, her eyes full of disappointment and guardedness. You want to squeeze into that circle too, don't you? You're just like the rest of them, hoping to use the Yao family to skyrocket to the top. I misjudged you, Du Zitang. Turns out you're nothing special after all. That long-buried shadow was cruelly ripped open. She backed away continuously, tears swirling in her eyes. Do you even know what kind of hellhole that is? A bunch of hypocritical beasts in suits. Everything has a price tag in their eyes. I'm just a decorative vase to them, she screamed hysterically, her body trembling uncontrollably. Go yourself. I'd rather die than go. But you just stood there quietly, looking at this girl who acted tough on the outside, but was actually incredibly fragile on the inside. You didn't offer a single word of defense, and weren't even angry at her accusations. Only, those bottomless eyes of yours gradually darkened. Are you done venting? You took a long stride, closing in on her step by step. Every step carried a reassuring yet oppressive weight. Yao Jing subconsciously backed away, until her back hit the cold wall. The next second, you stopped right in front of her. Leaning in slightly, you wiped away her tears with an unbelievably gentle touch. Your makeup is going to run. Eldest miss. Your fingertips seemed to hold magic, instantly relaxing her tense nerves. That familiar, aggressive scent entered her nose. Like a powerful sedative, her heartbeat actually began to calm down, leaving only her reliance and infatuation with you. Don't touch me. Yao Jing turned her head away, but her voice had softened, carrying an undeniable sense of grievance. But you didn't pull your hand back. Instead, you took the opportunity to pinch her chin, forcing her to turn back and meet your gaze. If you run and hide now, will your father just let it go? Yao Jing instantly froze. She opened her mouth, but couldn't say a single word. He wouldn't. As long as she was a daughter of the Yao family, she could never escape these things. Right then, you leaned in even closer, your noses almost touching. Besides, do you really not want that old man to see, the man who has you head over heels, and exactly who he is? Your domineering masculine aura instantly overwhelmed all her senses. Her breathing grew ragged, her legs went weak, and she could only grip the fabric at your waist tightly. Your voice carried a bewitching magnetism, striking straight into the depths of her soul. Before, you went to please them, so you felt disgusted, so you resisted. But this time, your eyes were filled with an arrogance that looked down on the world. I'll be going with you. Who says we're going there to be picked apart by them? We're going there to tell that old man, to tell everyone, that you're no longer a doll to be manipulated. You have the eye to choose your own man, and the confidence to dictate your own life. But Yao Jing bit her lower lip, a flash of hesitation, crossing her eyes. I really hate that feeling. I'm here. You cut her off directly. Those words were spoken with absolute certainty. You tilted your head slightly, speaking into her reddened ear, with a bold and domineering tone. I will hold your hand and trample all their hypocritical rules, right under our feet, eldest miss. When the time comes, everyone will just be madly jealous of you. You chuckled softly, kissing the top of her head, your voice so gentle it could drown someone. Take me there and let them see. Your taste is leagues above theirs. Boom. Inside Yao Jing's mind, it was as if brilliant fireworks had just exploded. All her grievances, fears, and anger vanished into thin air at this moment. Replacing them was an unprecedented sense of security and an almost blind adoration. This man, he understood her fears and understood her pride even more. He didn't tell her to look at the big picture, but stood by her side, handed her a sharp blade, and told her to raise hell. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up. Du Zitang. Yao Jing sniffled, her tears finally breaking the dam. The next second, she threw herself into your arms, her arms wrapping tightly around your waist, burying her face deep in your chest. She greedily soaked up that sense of safety. You bastard. If you dare lie to me, if you dare abandon me halfway, I'll bite you to death. You reached out and hugged her back, gently patting her trembling back. I won't let you lose. Not far away, The assistant, who was secretly filming, looked at the two embracing in the lens, her fingertips trembling slightly. She had been by the eldest Mrs. side for so long, but had never seen her show such complete and utter trust, it seems this time. The assistant sighed helplessly. The eldest miss has truly fallen for him. After a long while, Yao Jing's emotions gradually settled down. She lifted her head from your embrace, tear tracks still wet on her face, but she had regained a bit of her usual arrogance. It was just that her red eyes and ears made it look like she was just putting up a tough front. Her eyes darted away, not daring to look you in the eye at all. To cover up her earlier embarrassment, she deliberately spoke in a fierce tone. If we're going to a place like that, you can't embarrass me. As soon as she finished speaking, Yao Jing grabbed your hand and forcefully dragged you outside. Let's go buy clothes. What you're wearing is too plain. It won't hold the room at all. She then domineeringly declared, I'm going to pick them out for you myself, from head to toe. Even the cufflinks need my approval. And you just let her pull you along, matching her pace, your eyes full of indulgence. All right, whatever you say. Yao Jing whipped her head around. Seeing your docile appearance, the possessiveness in her heart instantly maxed out. She proudly raised her chin. Hemph, that's more like it. Remember, when the time comes, you're my man. You're not allowed to look at any other women. You chuckled softly, flipping your hand to interlock your fingers with hers. As you command, my sugar mommy. Crash. A crisp, explosive sound rang out. An expensive vase instantly shattered into pieces in the Mu family's living room. Father Mu pointed at Mu Turan on the sofa, his fingertips trembling with rage. The Mu family's face has been completely ruined by a piece of trash like you, but your mother protected him, her face full of heartache. Don't be angry just yet. Turan just donated blood. His body is still weak. On the sofa, Mu Turan's face was as pale as paper. His green tea acting skills instantly came online. His breath was weak as a thread, but his words were like poison-laced knives. Mom, it's all my fault for being so stupid. To think I actually believed you had me figured out, knowing I was eager for quick success, and deliberately set me up. Dad is just taking revenge. Taking revenge on us for kicking you out back then. But in this argument that nearly blew the roof off, Wu Ji, also known as Mu Tangchun, sitting in the corner of the living room, seemed like a complete outsider. He curled up in the shadows, his eyes burning with a fanatical intensity on the drawing paper. He kept muttering to himself, no, the feeling still isn't right. That ultimate sense of oppression, completely oblivious to the fact that the house had been turned upside down. Right at this moment, the front door was pushed open from the outside. Your third sister walked in, her eyes as cold as frost. She was actually holding a bottle of alcohol spray, wildly spraying it into the air of the living room. Mumu choked and coughed repeatedly, but third sister didn't even glance at him. She just used a look of visceral disgust, staring coldly at Mu Turan. The air here is full of disgusting droplets. The next second, just as Mu Turan was about to play the victim and call out third sister, she remained expressionless and sprayed the alcohol right in his face. That's enough from all of you. Father Mu looked at one child immersed in his drawing, and a daughter having a germaphobe episode, his temples throbbing with rage. Your brother has suffered a massive injustice, and you too, but his hysterical roar was abruptly cut off by a flurry of hurried footsteps. Click, clack, clack. Sharp high heels clicked against the marble floor, every step seemingly stomping on everyone's hearts. The front door was pushed open once again. A woman in a black suit stepped inside, her aura as freezing as the dead of winter. She was none other than the eldest sister of the Mu family, the head of the Mu group, Mu Yuye. The moment she appeared, the air in the entire living room froze. Even the furious Father Mu's temper instantly shrank by half. Immediately after, Mu Yuye walked over to the coffee table with a cold face. Smack! She slammed a document hard onto the table. She looked down at Mu Turan with eyes that viewed him as trash, completely devoid of emotion. Are you done crying? Mu Turan was so scared he let out a hiccup. If you're done crying, shut your mouth. Mu Yui's voice held not a trace of warmth. Because of your stupidity, the Mu Group stock evaporated by 500 million today. Mu Turan trembled like a leaf in fear, but Mu Yuyi couldn't be bothered to spare him another glance. She shot a look straight at their parents. I've already handled the situation. I donated a laboratory building to Jiangcheng University. His enrollment status is secured. It's just a major demerit on his record. The trending topics online have been suppressed too. PR will shift the narrative to creative pressure. Father Mu and Mother Mu's hanging hearts finally settled. But just as they were about to praise their eldest daughter, Mu Yuyi suddenly turned her head. Her gaze turned into a sharp blade, flashing fiercely across Mu Turan's face. This is the last time I'm cleaning up your mess. Our Mu family never raises useless trash. Eldest sister's words slammed down like blocks of ice. If there's a next time, I'll personally throw you out of the country. Don't even think about stepping foot back in this lifetime. Mu Turan nodded repeatedly in humiliation, but the hatred in his heart was growing wildly. Using money to solve things again. Always this condescending charity. Right at this moment, Father Mu gritted his teeth in hatred. And that rebellious son of yours. We must drag him back immediately and punish him according to family law. As soon as he finished speaking, the tip of Wu Ji's pen in the corner suddenly stopped. Snap. It broke off. Beside him, third sister, who was wiping her glasses, instantly froze her movements as well. However, eldest sister Mu Yuye just frowned impatiently. Drag him back? Dad, do you think the Mu family hasn't been enough of a joke? She poured herself a glass of ice water, her tone carrying an unquestionable arrogance. He's making such a fuss for only two reasons. First, to grab attention. Second, for money. The next second, she actually pulled a checkbook out of her Hermes bag. Her pen danced across the paper, quickly writing down a staggering string of numbers. You have nothing right now. Can your so-called talent feed you? Once that eldest miss of the Yao family loses her novelty for you, you'll just be kicked to the curb again. Re-ip. She tore off a check, elegantly holding it between two fingers. I'll hand this to you personally at the charity banquet this weekend. Consider it your severance pay from the Mu family. Take the money and get lost. Whether you live or die, don't ever associate with the Mu family again. Eldest sister was absolutely certain that you didn't have the guts to fight to the bitter end, because swallowing your pride to keep the peace was what was carved into your very bones. Mu Turin stared at that check, his eyes bursting with a greedy and vicious light. Giving you money right in front of Yao Jing. That's practically announcing to the public that you, Du Ziteng, are just a tail-wagging beggar. Just wait. When that time comes, not only will you be completely banished by the Mu family, you'll also be thrown away like trash by Yao Jing. He had already started frantically fantasizing about the scene of humiliating you in public, but none of them noticed that at this moment Wu Ji, Mu Tangchun, was using an almost crazed look to stare dead at his drawing paper. The face sketched on that paper was strikingly yours. At the same time, at Jiangcheng SKP Mall, Yao Jing was holding a fiery red dress against herself, looking smug. How about this? Is this one explosive enough for the venue? You, sitting on the sofa, couldn't even be bothered to look up. Too ugly. 2 words directly sentenced the dress to death. The smile on Yao Jing's face froze on the spot. What did you say? This is the latest style of the season. It's insanely expensive, okay? Only then did you slowly stand up. You walked over to the clothing rack, your fingertips lightly brushing over a row of gorgeous outfits. Expensive doesn't mean beautiful. Wearing this dress is completely meaningless other than showing off wealth. Finally, your fingertips stopped on a pure black gown. It had no superfluous embellishments, only the most impeccably sharp tailoring. You took the gown off the rack and shoved it directly to Yao Jing. Go try this one. But Yao Jing's face was written all over with disdain. It's so plain. I'm going there to start drama, not to attend a funeral. Who knew you would take a step forward, forcefully stuffing the dress into her arms? You even casually pinched her puffed up, angry cheek. A true queen's aura never needs colors to set it off. You yourself are the brightest star. Be a good girl and go try it on. Your words actually made Yao Jing's heart skip a beat. All her resistance vanished into thin air instantly. She grabbed the gown and obediently went into the fitting room. But the next second, an accident happened. The invisible zipper on the back, right on cue, got stuck at her shoulder blade and wouldn't budge. If it were any other time, she would have called a staff member for help long ago. But the thought of you being right outside the door, a bold idea, instantly took over her mind. Du Zaiting. Her voice passed through the door, carrying a trace of imperceptible seduction. My zipper is stuck. Can you come in and help me for a sec? There was a 2-second silence outside the door. Then, with a Times click, you actually pushed the door open and walked in. In the cramped fitting room, the oppressive aura radiating from you instantly peaked. Yao Jing had her back to you. Her snow-white back formed a striking visual contrast with the black gown. But you weren't in a rush to help. You leaned down slightly, your scalding breath spilling entirely onto the back of her neck. Is this your attitude when asking for help? Your deep voice made Yao Jing's entire body go soft instantly. Hurry up. Her voice took on a tearful tone, but you merely chuckled softly. Your cold fingertips didn't touch the zipper, but instead slid down her spine, inch by inch. A soft moan escaped Yao Jing's throat, a quiet whimper. She had to brace her hands hard against the mirror to keep from collapsing. This big bad wolf, Du Zaiting, don't go too far. Your other hand suddenly tightened, locking her entire body into your embrace. Don't move, you whispered in her ear, your voice carrying a fatal magnetism. It wouldn't be good if you ruined the dress. With a soft Times zip, you smoothly pulled the zipper all the way up, but your hands didn't leave. Instead, you helped her smooth out the skirt, your fingertips brushing against her skin as if by accident. Done. You actually left a light kiss on her delicate earlobe, then took a step back. Beautiful. After saying that, you opened the door and walked out casually, leaving Yao Jing all alone, leaning against the wall and gasping for air. The woman in the mirror had flushed cheeks and liquid, swirling eyes. Where was there even a hint of the eldest Mrs. Arrogance? Ding. Congratulations. Collected Yao Jing's arousal and submission emotion points, plus 2,000. 5 minutes later, when the fitting room door was pushed open again, the entire VIP area fell into a dead silence. The black velvet gown outlined her figure to absolute perfection. She looked like an elegant, noble black swan. The nearby staff members were all dumbfounded. Yao Jing looked at herself in the mirror, also finding it unbelievable. So this is how you see me. She abruptly turned her head to look at you on the sofa, little stars of admiration instantly lighting up in her eyes. I guess you have some taste after all. She gave a sunder himph and casually picked out a gray suit for you. Go put this on. This is the only one that barely matches me. When a few male customers nearby heard this, their faces were instantly written with contempt. Coming to a top-tier luxury store and wearing off-the-rack ready-to-wear. He really is just a kept man living off a woman. But as you took the suit, a cold smirk curled on your lips. Custom-made? That's something only people with flawed bodies need. And for someone with your golden ratio physique, standard sizing was the highest level of custom tailoring. Just a few minutes later, when you walked out wearing the suit, the entire room instantly went dead silent. That gray, sharply tailored suit perfectly wrapped around your body. Pacific-wide shoulders, a V-tapered waist, and incredibly long legs. Every inch of your lines was filled with explosive power, exuding an ascetic yet mesmerizing aura. The random bystanders who had looked disdainful just moments ago now had their eyes practically popping out of their heads. Does a body like this actually exist? Even the staff members who had seen countless male models were all blushing with racing hearts, their breathing completely messed up. He's too handsome. He actually managed to make ready-to-wear look like top-tier haute couture. That waist. I want to swing on it. Yao Jing looked at the wolfish stares all around, her heart ringing alarm bells. That belongs to me. She charged over in her high heels, hugging your arm tightly, wishing she could hang her entire body onto you. She glared fiercely at the whole room. What are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen a handsome guy before? Meanwhile, inside the brightly lit banquet hall, eldest sister Mu Yuye held a glass of champagne, standing like an ice sculpture in the center of the crowd, and Mu Turin, wearing a white suit, was shrinking behind her like a waiter, unable to hide his gloating. He was waiting for you to show up, so he could present you with a grand gift of humiliation. Stop looking. Mu Yuye's voice was cold. Do you think he'd dare not to come? Right at this moment, the originally noisy banquet hall suddenly plunged into dead silence. Hundreds of gazes, as if pulled by some magnetic field, all shot toward the entrance in unison. There you stood, an imposing presence. The sheer nobility radiating from your very bones instantly crushed the egos of every man in the room to dust. Yao Jing clung to your arm, one cold, one proud. It actually forced the lights of the entire banquet hall to pale in comparison. The fake smile on Mu Turin's face instantly stiffened. He looked down at his own suit, worth hundreds of thousands, then looked at you at the door. A strong sense of cheapness violently surged in his heart. Why? Why do I look like an insurance salesman? While you look like royalty in disguise. Mu Yuye's fingers gripping her wine glass also suddenly tightened. Her pupils abruptly contracted, locking dead onto your face. Is this still that submissive little brother who used to cower before me? This powerful aura that was impossible to ignore, this indifferent gaze that treated the whole room like nothing. It actually made Mu Yuye feel incredibly unfamiliar, even panicked. No, this must all be an act. He's just a penniless loser kicked out of the house. She forcefully steadied her breathing, barely maintaining her lofty, condescending posture. However, the other women in the banquet hall had already completely lost control. The usually dignified socialites and heiresses were now like sharks smelling blood. One by one, their breathing grew heavy, their cheeks flushed red. Oh my god, I feel like my legs are turning to jelly. That boy toy Yao Jing is keeping. How is he even hotter than in the photos? A few wealthy heiresses who usually love to butt heads with Yao Jing completely treated her like air. Holding their wine glasses and lifting their skirts, they swarmed toward you as if under a spell. Hey handsome, let's add each other on WeChat. Are you free tonight? In the blink of an eye, you were surrounded by this flock of chattering women, packed in so tight not a drop of water could leak through. The overpowering scent of perfume, mixed with their undisguised lust, hit you right in the face. Yao Jing acted like a little lioness protecting her food, bristling on the spot to declare her sovereignty. Hey, know your place. This man belongs to me. But those women couldn't even be bothered to acknowledge her. In their eyes, it was as if you were the only man left in the world. Yet, standing in the center of the crowd, your expression didn't show a single ripple. You neither enjoyed this kind of flattery, nor showed a hint of panic. You merely furrowed your brows slightly. The next second, completely ignoring this bunch of socialites, you actually raised your hand to tuck a stray strand of hair behind Yao Jing's ear. Your movement was so focused, as if everyone around you was just thin air. Then, you spoke icily, too noisy, and the perfume on you all is choking me. The entire room fell dead silent once again. The socialites' smiles instantly froze on their faces. What they were using were top-tier perfumes worth thousands or tens of thousands. If any other man dared to say this, they would have thrown a glass of wine in his face long ago. But when they saw that look in your eyes cold, laced with disgust, not only were they not angry, but an even stronger, twisted thrill rose in their hearts. He's so arrogant. He's so aloof. But the way he looks disgusted is just so sexy. Ding. Congratulations. Collected the socialite groups. Obsession and desire to conquer emotion points. Plus 1,000. Yao Jing felt like she was on top of the world. This bunch of flashy bimbos who thought they had seen it all were now being scolded by you so badly they didn't even dare to breathe. She raised her chin high, triumphantly clinging tighter to your arm. Did you hear him? Hurry up and get out of my way. Saying that, she pulled you and swaggered right through the crowd. Wherever you passed, the crowd actually parted automatically to make a path for you. In the distance, Mu Yuye watched you. From beginning to end, you hadn't even glanced in her direction. That certainty in her heart began to waver bit by bit, crumbling away. Replacing it was an unprecedented, frustrating urge to drag you back. With your departure, the mesmerized socialites also sobered up a little. They looked at Mu Yuye in the distance, and only then suddenly remembered your other identity, the discarded son of the Mu family. Reason instantly overpowered impulse. Everyone immediately put on a look, ready to watch the drama unfold. There's definitely going to be a good show tonight. You felt the shift in the surrounding gazes, but your heart remained completely undisturbed. Right at this moment, a surprised voice suddenly exploded. Du Ziteng. A few women blocked your path. Leading them was none other than the eldest miss of the Mei family, Mei Liangshan. She was also your former fiancée in name, and the very culprit who drugged you, attempting to ruin your reputation. Your footsteps paused, your eyes indifferent. After finding out you were the fake young master, this woman broke off the engagement overnight and turned right around to hook up with the real young master, Mu Turin. Now this villain had finally jumped out on her own. Mei Liangshan had prepared a bellyful of humiliating words, but when she saw your face, all her insults got stuck in her throat. Is this really Du Ziteng? Up close, he was even more lethal than from afar. The overwhelming aesthetic vibe hitting her in the face actually made her inner thighs inexplicably weak. Damn it. How did this piece of trash become so alluring? But very quickly, she still put on an expression of extreme disgust. Oh, nice suit you got there. Her tone was aggressive to the extreme, but it doesn't look like something you could afford. Relying on a woman again? Du Ziteng? Do you have any manly dignity left? Couldn't survive after leaving the Mu family, so you found a new master to wag your tail for? Mei Liangshan's voice was loud, as if afraid the people around wouldn't hear. Thank goodness I had the foresight. Otherwise, having a fiancé like you would get my spine poked out by people gossiping every time I went out. A few low chuckles came from the surroundings, making Mei Liangshan even more smug, as if stepping on you could elevate herself. However, you merely lowered your eyes, looking at this endlessly chattering woman. No anger, only the silent indifference of looking at an ant. This silent oppression, instead, made you look even more captivating. Mei Liangshan felt her scalp tingle under your gaze, her breathing losing its rhythm once again. But before she could launch another attack, Yao Jing laughed out loud first. She let go of your hand, but didn't rush up to curse at her like she usually would. She just looked at the other woman with a pitying gaze. It's truly touching to actually meet the philanthropist in person. A shared bike, and to ride, deposit free, a smile hooked on her lips, her tone warm. But with so many users, you really need to disinfect more often, lest some bad guy poisons it and you catch a disease. As soon as these words came out, the whole room was in an uproar. Who didn't know that Mei Liangshan's reputation was already rotten to the core? Yao Jing's words directly exposed her dirty laundry for all to see. Mei Liangshan's face instantly swelled to the color of pig liver. Damn you, Yao Jing. What nonsense are you spouting? But Yao Jing felt completely refreshed. In the past, she would have definitely just thrown hands in a situation like this. Now she had learned some bad habits from you, realizing that being passive-aggressive was actually the most satisfying. Just as she was preparing to continue her verbal assault, a large, warm hand gently rested on her waist, tracing along the edge of her backless dress, her sensitive back. Yao Jing trembled all over, instantly melting. Be good, your deep voice sounded by her ear. You've talked so much, aren't you hungry? Yao Jing's heart felt sweeter than honey. She nodded obediently. A little. Ding, congratulations. You have collected Mei Liangshan's shame, anger, and intense physiological desire. Emotion points plus 800. Mei Liangshan watched your brazen intimacy, watched you treat Yao Jing so gently, and gritted her teeth. A wave of sour jealousy shot straight through the roof of her skull. Just a few months ago, she was your fiancé, and now you two are showing off your affection here. Du Ziteng, stop pretending. Mei Liangshan screamed hysterically. Right at this moment, a voice called out. Liangshan, stop talking. Mu Turin, wearing his signature green tea smile, walked over. He quickly walked to Mei Liangshan's side, grabbed her arm, and looked at Du Ziteng with an apologetic face. Don't blame Liangshan. She's just straightforward and speaks her mind. Mu Turin sighed. With a sincere tone, you don't make money studying art. If you're having a hard time, just tell me. In my heart, you'll always be family, and relying on Miss Yao to make a living really isn't anything to be ashamed of. The green tea hypocrisy is overflowing. Every single word is cementing your label as a kept man. The surrounding gazes instantly fill with a bit more disdain. Yao Jing is so furious she's about to blow up again. But right at that moment, you speak up. Open. You take a piece of strawberry mousse from the waiter's tray, fork a small piece, and bring it to Yao Jing's lips. Yao Jing freezes. She subconsciously parts her red lips. You feed the cake into her mouth. Then, you extend your thumb and gently wipe the cream from the corner of her mouth. The next second, you bring that finger, stained with Yao Jing's lipstick, to your own lips, and give it a gentle lick. The movement is natural and intimate, as if there's no one else around. Is it sweet? Your voice is so gentle it could melt ice. Sweet. Yao Jing stammers, her face flushed red. In this instant, the female guests around who were just despising you for being a kept man all stop breathing. They stare fixedly at your finger-licking action, their throats going dry. The moral judgment in their heads vanishes into thin air. So what if he's a kept man? If a top-tier man like this was willing to feed me like that, willing to look at me with those devouring eyes, I wouldn't mind giving him my entire fortune. Heartless watches this scene, her eyes bloodshot with extreme jealousy. You were supposed to be hers. Ding. Congratulations. You have collected Heartless's extreme jealousy. Jealousy emotion points plus 1,000. The fake smile on Blockhead's face is also crumbling. This carefully orchestrated humiliation. And you two didn't even take the bait. Right at this moment, you tilt your head slightly, leaning close to Yao Jing's ear, but your voice is just loud enough for the people around to hear. I don't recall having any family so full of crap. Yao Jing freezes for a second, then bursts into a fit of giggles. Her anger dissipates instantly. She clings tightly to your arm, looking at Blockhead like he's an idiot. Some people really do have too much bullshit to say. With that, you two turn and walk away, leaving Blockhead glaring daggers at your backs, his eyes growing increasingly sinister. At the banquet, several guests immediately grab their wine glasses and approach Yao Jing with faces full of smiles. Miss Yao, I heard the Yao family has a new project recently. Before they can finish, you suddenly step sideways, using your tall frame to block her completely. You don't even glance at them. You just pick up another exquisite pastry. Try this. Your voice isn't loud, but it carries an undeniable tone of command. The smiles on those guests' faces instantly freeze. In this kind of setting, even if you don't want to talk, you still have to clink glasses and exchange pleasantries. Who would have thought you'd treat them like thin air? But in your heart, you're sneering. Socializing. Unnecessary. What you need to do is cut off all her meaningless social interactions, making her used to the fact that as long as you're around, everyone else is irrelevant. This kind of conditioning is called the imprinting effect. At this moment, Yao Jing looks at the pastry you've brought to her lips again, and suddenly freezes. She looks over your shoulder, and sees those awkward and bewildered faces. If it were before, she would have suppressed her impatience and exchanged pleasantry. But now, looking into your focused eyes, Yao Jing's heart skips a beat. To hell with family interest. To hell with building connections. She only wants to look at you. The next second, Yao Jing leans forward slightly and takes the pastry into her mouth, her tongue even accidentally brushing against your fingertips. The faces of those guests instantly turn a mix of pale and green. In the end, they can only turn and walk away in disgrace. Watching their retreating backs, Yao Jing feels a sudden wave of relief. So this is the amusement park you were talking about. As long as she's by your side, the world can be this simple. You'll block all the trouble for her. This feeling of being spoiled without limits is simply breathtaking. Is the matcha good? It's delicious. Yao Jing nods vigorously, looking like a little hamster with its cheeks stuffed full of food. Right after, you reach out and gently tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. You did well just now. Your voice is full of praise. Learn to humiliate people with your brain, not your volume. Yao Jing instantly narrows her eyes like a little cat and proactively rubs her cheek against your palm. Of course. Look whose girl I am. Following you isn't just fun. I even get to learn how to be bad, smart. Right at this moment, you cast a casual glance, but your gaze locks precisely onto one person. Blockhead. That true young master has long been sentenced to death in your mind. However, your gaze sweeps past Blockhead and lands on the beautiful woman in white, Mu Yuyi. You ponder how this high and mighty Du family CEO will fall into your trap. Meanwhile, Mu Yuyi's face is already as cold as frost. Blockhead taking the initiative to pick a fight just now didn't gain him any advantage. Instead, he was publicly humiliated. The strange looks from the surrounding guests make her feel like she's sitting on pins and needles. Since when did the Du family become a laughingstock for others? Stand up straight, she scolds in a low voice. Blockhead, who just walked back, shudders in fear. He hurriedly straightens his back. Eldest sister, shut up. Mu Yuyi's voice carries the authority of a strict parent. Who told you to go over there on your own? Where are your manners? Where is your dignity? The Du family doesn't need an heir who bickers like a bitter housewife. The more she speaks, the angrier she gets. Crushed by your absolute aura, Blockhead's behavior was simply like a jumping clown. Not only did he fail to hurt you in the slightest, he made the Du family look petty. Once upon a time, she actually thought Blockhead was a promising talent. But now, the moment he runs into you, he loses all his composure. For some reason, in Mu Yuye's mind, an image of how you used to be at home suddenly surfaces. Calm, steady, and flawless in everything you did. Comparing the two, she actually feels that this biological brother standing before her is somewhat unpresentable. However, Blockhead immediately lowers his head, clutching his arm, looking as if he's about to collapse. I'm sorry, eldest sister. I just care about you too much. He plays the victim out loud, but in his heart, he's harboring a crazy grudge. Old hag, just you wait. You'll be the first one I deal with. But right at this moment, he suddenly notices that his eldest sister's gaze keeps drifting toward your direction. Her eyes are filled with a mix of complexity and conflict. Do these sisters have holes in their brains? They clearly kicked you out, and now they're obsessing over you again. Fortunately, he came prepared. This banquet will be your dead end. At this moment, Mu Yuye, looking at Blockhead's weak appearance, should have felt soft-hearted, but instead, she feels extremely irritated. Her mind is entirely filled with the image of you feeding Yao Jing just now. That gaze, as gentle as a pool of spring water, it was something she had never seen before. To her, you were always respectful, distant, and eager to please. But now, you're doting on that crazy girl so much, so naturally. Why? What gives you the right to smile so calmly? Reason tells her she should use indifference to strike back at you, an outsider. But her gaze is glued to you, unable to look away, especially seeing Yao Jing melting into your arms, smiling so sweetly. Mu Yuye finds it exceptionally glaring. The next second, she adjusts her expression, restoring the aloofness of an Ice Queen CEO. You stay here and reflect on your actions. She has to cut off these inexplicable emotions. She will use the most direct benefits to tear apart your facade and prove that you're still that pathetic worm. But just as she takes a step with her long legs to walk towards you, a figure suddenly blocks her path. Eldest sister, wait. Blockhead lowers his voice, his face full of anxiety. He steps slightly sideways, blocking Mu Yuye's line of sight. Uncle Yao is about to enter. If a fight breaks out, it'll be our Du family losing face. He absolutely cannot let her go over there, because the Du family's reputation is what Mu Yuye cares about the most. Sure enough, Upon hearing this, Mu Yuye's footsteps come to a sudden halt. Reason tells her that Blockhead is right. They can't make a fool of themselves again. And right at this moment, the doors to the banquet hall slowly open once more. Mr. Yao Wu. With a loud announcement, the spotlight instantly hits the entrance. A vigorous, middle-aged man, surrounded by a group of bodyguards, strides in. It is none other than the head of the Yao family, Yao Jing's father, Yao Wu. The entire room's attention is instantly drawn to him. Mu Yuyi also has to adjust her posture, putting on a proper social smile. But her gaze, as if out of her control, keeps drifting toward your direction. She is anticipating seeing you face such a big shot and revealing even a hint of inferiority or panic. But she is disappointed. You just stand there, playing with a wine glass in your hand, your expression indifferent. That aloof demeanor, paired with your glowing, pale side profile, actually makes Mu Yuye's mouth go dry. Damn it! Why are you so seductive even when you're just spacing out? Right at this moment, Yao Wu takes the microphone on stage, his gaze sweeping across the room. Finally, it pauses for a second in the direction of you and his daughter, a meaningful smile appearing on his lips. Thank you all for coming. The theme of tonight's charity gala is protecting the angels with broken wings. As soon as he finishes speaking, the red cloth behind him is lifted, revealing an exquisite emerald jade Buddha, shimmering brilliantly under the lights. This is a small token of my appreciation. It will be auctioned off for charity shortly. The crowd erupts in awe, bringing out an antique worth millions right off the bat. This is the grandeur of the richest man. But offstage, Yao Jing curls her lips. What a hypocrite. The old man is playing the good guy again. You don't say a word, but your eyes hold a hint of mockery. True, the jade Buddha is expensive, but it is ultimately cold. Some people are merely using money to buy a redemption called kindness. Immediately after, the donation segment officially begins. Heartless immediately struts onto the stage with a high profile. I am donating a diamond necklace set, valued at 800,000. As she steps down, she deliberately slows her pace, casting a disdainful look at you. That look clearly says, see that? This is the class difference. What does a pretty boy like you have to compete with me? The next second, Blockhead also straightens his collar and walks onto the stage holding a red sandalwood box. I, representing the Du family, donate this Ming Dynasty landscape painting. He speaks into the microphone, his voice gentle and warm. I, too, have experienced hardships, so I understand the value of family more than anyone. These words are sincere and heartfelt, not only showing off their wealth, but also establishing his persona as a sensible and loving person. At the same time, every single word is insinuating that you are an ungrateful wretch. Thunderous applause instantly erupts from the audience. As expected of the true young master of the Du family, his bearing is just on another level. Blockhead stands on the stage, enjoying the feeling of being on cloud nine, his gaze subtly sweeping over you. You have no money. You don't even have the right to step on this stage. Right at this moment, Heartless's shrill laughter rings out again. Oh my, why are some people still standing there doing nothing? She looks pointedly at you. Oh, I forgot. Someone is now an orphan, kicked out of his house. Who knows? Maybe you're just waiting to go up and collect welfare money later? Ha ha ha. These words are extremely harsh, and many people join in with mocking laughter. When a wall is about to fall, everyone gives it a push. Being poor is the original sin. Yao Jing's blood boils instantly. But right now, the word orphan is simply a naked personal attack against you. Don't rush. Who knew your voice would remain so calm? You even turn your head and give Yao Jing a slight smile. But Yao Jing, looking at those mocking faces, and then at her father watching the show from the stage, is burning with anxiety. Are you just going to let them humiliate you like this? Right at this moment, you offer no explanation. You slowly reach out and slip your hand into the inner pocket of your suit. The entire room instantly falls silent. Everyone watches you with mocking eyes, wanting to see what a down-and-out young master like you could possibly pull out. Is it a bank card given by Yao Jing, or some cheap trinket? Blockhead looks down from his high horse, a cruel smirk curling on his lips. Take it out. No matter what it is, in front of my Ming Dynasty painting and the Jade Buddha, it's all trash. The next second, you pull your hand out of your pocket. Pinched between your fingertips is an object. It's not a check. It's not jewelry. It's actually a paper flower. A crumpled paper flower, folded from cheap cardstock. It looks like a piece of scrap paper picked out of the trash. PFT. Heartless is the first to burst into shrill laughter. Is someone out of their mind? We ask you to donate to orphans, not to act like an orphan and offer us a flower. However, facing the overwhelming mockery, your heart remains completely unbothered. You ignore all the disdain and take a step forward with a solemn expression. Then, you take that crumpled paper flower and gently place it on the tray. Your movements are gentle, as if it were some peerless treasure. Right at this moment, the white-haired elder who had been standing silently beside Yao Wu all this time, the moment he sees that paper flower, his cloudy pupils suddenly contract. At this moment, the banquet hall is dead, silent. Everyone watches as the white-haired elder quickly steps forward and picks up that tattered paper flower. Jiang Dongliu, the honorary president of the Jiangxing Charity Federation, a stubborn old man who wouldn't even give the mayor face. Right now, the hand holding the paper flower is actually trembling slightly. Something is wrong. Even a fool can tell this flower is not simple. The smile on Blockhead's face instantly stiffens. Impossible. That's just a wad of scrap paper. Who knew Shang Dongli would carefully hold up the paper flower, his voice booming. Do any of you recognize this? Superficial. Foolish. The elder angrily rebukes the entire room. This specific folding method is the highest honor given by the children of the Jiangqing orphanage. Only a volunteer who has shown up rain or shine for 3 consecutive years, accumulated over 1,000 hours of service, and been genuinely accepted by those children, would receive this medal folded by the children's own hands. The crowd is in an uproar. 3 years? 1,000 hours? That's simply a fantasy. But Shangdong Liu looks at you with piercing eyes. This also solves a mystery I've had for a long time. In the orphanage's records, there are 7 outstanding volunteers, and all of them have the surname Du. At first, I thought the Du family had raised 7 kind-hearted daughters, until the director told me, from beginning to end, there was only one shy young boy. Every time he came, he would finish the work, sign a name, and run off. The elder suddenly turns around, staring at you with burning eyes. That child was you, wasn't it? Instantly, all eyes focus on you. Shock. Disbelief. Shame. They were just mocking you for being an orphan, for being a kept man. But as it turns out, you are the true philanthropist. But your expression remains indifferent. You just look at the old man in front of you, your eyes slightly lowered, hiding a hint of mockery. Because back then, you didn't do it out of compassion. It was merely because your sisters found the summer volunteer assignments too troublesome, so they dumped the tasks on you. Even eldest sister didn't know about this. But later on, only in front of those children. Did you not need to wear a mask? It was just a small effort. You speak calmly. The children's sincerity deserves to be respected. I donate this medal to everyone present here today, in hopes that kindness will be passed on. These words are like a resounding slap, striking fiercely across Blockhead and Heartless's faces. Blockhead's face instantly turns ashen. Damn it. How did this turn into your solo show again? He is unwilling to accept this. The next second, Blockhead quickly puts on a righteous face and approaches you. Ziting, I have to criticize you for this. He blinks his innocent eyes, his tone full of surprise. Elder Xiang just said it himself. The names signed in the records are our sisters. How could you, just to prove yourself, steal our sister's credit? Then he turns to the guest, looking sincere. Our Du family has always had a tradition of doing charity. My sisters are busy, so they often entrust someone else to go. This flower is highly likely a souvenir my sisters kept at home. As soon as these words are spoken, it directly implies that you are a thief, that this credit doesn't belong to you at all. The onlooker's eyes instantly turn suspicious again. Yeah, a playboy like you doesn't look like someone who would do volunteer work at all. However, enough. A cold voice drops like ice. Mu Yuyi looks at him expressionlessly, her eyes carrying a scrutinizing look for the first time. The Du family's charity projects have every single penny accounted for. I have never issued an order for anyone to do volunteer work at the orphanage, nor have I ever entrusted anyone to do these things on my behalf. Every word is clear, directly tearing Blockhead's woven lies to shreds. It also indirectly proves that the true owner of this good deed is. Blockhead's face instantly turns pale. His lips tremble as he tries to argue. Eldest sister, I thought. Xiangdong Liu lets out a cold snort, his eyes as sharp as a falcon's. Young man, being too scheming is not a good thing. Hypocrites donate money for fame. True philanthropists dedicate themselves personally. You are not worthy of judging this flower. With that, he gives you a solemn nod, and carefully steps back with the paper flower, as if holding some rare treasure. The scene is dead silent. Everyone's gaze shifts back and forth between you and Blockhead. The winner is clear. Ding! Collected Mu Yuye's extreme regret. Emotion points plus 1,000. Collected Mu Yuye's self-loathing. Emotion points plus 2,000. Mu Yuye freezes in place, her knuckles turning white from gripping too hard. Her breathing becomes erratic, her chest feeling suffocatingly tight. Why? Why did I know absolutely nothing about this? In the 18 years he was in the Du family, for the past 3 years, I was busy expanding the business empire, busy socializing. I always thought you were just a brother who needed my protection, and didn't even want to improve yourself. I thought I controlled everything about you. Your allowance, your whereabouts, your social circle. But now reality has slapped her hard in the face. The brother she thought was idling away his time actually went to the orphanage every single weekend, rain or shine, to do volunteer work. For 3 whole years. You were only 15 back then. Mu Yuyi looks at your indifferent figure in the distance and suddenly feels a wave of panic. That panic stems from a complete sense of losing control. So you've had your own world all along. A world completely independent of the Du family, independent of me, your eldest sister. And she knew absolutely nothing about it. Just how much have I missed? That crumpled paper flower is like a slap, striking her so hard her very soul trembles. Just as Mu Yuye falls into self-doubt,